Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 5 of What If I Was Reincarnated in the world of Pokemon as the greatest tactician. Let the tale begin. Chapter 121. Kirlia, surrounded by light, is slowly changing its shape. Kirlia, who was the size of a little girl, was slowly becoming as big as an adult human. After a few seconds, Kirlia stopped glowing and showed her new shape to the world. Pokemon, Gardevoir. LV, 35. Type, Psychic/Fairy. Abilities, Telepathy. Gender, Female. Potential, Deep Gold. Move, Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic, Imprison. Innate Talent, Disable, E. Innate Talent, Calm Mind, E. Innate Talent, Dazzling Gleam, E. TM, Protect, TM, Shadow Ball, TM, Will-O-Wisp, TM, Thunderbolt, TM, Thunder Wave, TM, Helping Hand. Gardevoir, who started to open her eyes, looked at Alex, who felt indescribable. She could feel the messed up feelings of Alex, and she became a little worried about that. She felt joy, worry, sadness, pride at the same time from her father, which would best describe his mixed feelings. She walked in the direction of her father and hugged him like she has done so many times. Alex saw how Gardevoir hugged him like when she was little and could hardly suppress his emotions. It reminds him of when he told Ralts that she can always hug him. Although he wants to start crying, he managed to suppress his feelings. He started to suppress the sad thoughts and stroked Gardevoir's hair like he has done many times. Although she was now almost as tall as Alex, Alex could still stroke her head relatively easily. Gardevoir felt Alex's hand on her head and gave a slight smile as she said, "Father, I'm grown up already." Alex, who heard this, shakes her head and said, "No, you will always be my little daughter, no matter how old you are." Gardevoir showed a proud expression but was internally happy about Alex's statement. The little worry that her father no longer likes her after her evolution was completely gone, as if it was never possible. After the exchange with Alex, the other Pokemon also come to Gardevoir to congratulate her successful evolution. Even Cizor and Crobat say a few warm words to her. Although the two seem relatively cold, the feelings the Gardevoir can feel from these two Pokemon are not insignificant or small. Alex, who saw this, was not surprised that the Gardevoir was so popular with each of his Pokemon. She has so many good qualities that it is normal for her to be so popular with other Pokemon. As his Pokemon talked to each other, Alex thought about the new strength of Gardevoir. Kirlia, who had successfully evolved to Gardevoir, is now many times stronger as previously. Kirlia, with a total base stats of 278, is really not a strong Pokemon species. Compared to Gardevoir's 518 total base stats, Kirlia is really a good deal weaker. Especially if you include the increase in SPATK from 65 to 125, this evolution is especially important for Gardevoir's strength. In addition, Gardevoir's potential has improved successfully, what makes her the Pokemon with the best potential in Alex's team. He also noticed that Gardevoir can now do the move Imprison, which may be useful for him later. Although this move is likely to have similar restrictions as the Disable or Taunt, it is probably still useful at times. Alex took a Pokeball and caught the Victreebel that Gardevoir had defeated. Of course, he still healed Victreebel's wounds before he caught him. Now that he can stay on this island for only 25 days because of the auction, it is now worthwhile to catch every silver Pokemon he can. He no longer has to worry about having not enough food to feed every caught Pokemon because he won't stay on this island that long. Alex, who was just thinking, suddenly noticed that it was slowly getting darker. He looked at the sun that slowly went down and said, "Gardevoir, teleport us to our camp." Gardevoir nodded and teleported Alex and his Pokemon to the camp where they slept last night. Area 1 #. Danger level, green. Pokemon leader, mid-elite, Butterfree, strong, but does not attack trainers unprovoked. Rare Pokemon, none. Rare items, none. When Alex and his Pokemon were teleported in Area 1, Alex immediately opened his TRH device and started setting up his camp. Alex and his Pokemon always sleep in Area 1 and teleport back when it's morning. The reason Alex sleeps here is pretty simple. It's very safe here. Although the Pokemon are very strong in this area, they never attack trainers unprovoked, which makes it very safe. In addition, almost only berry eaters live in this area, which makes it particularly safe again. Besides, after sleeping here he can teleport back to the area where he was last time so that he doesn't even lose time to sleep here. Alex, who finished building his camp, looked at his Pokemon and started calling everyone except Crobat back to the Pokeball. Crobat nodded to Alex and flew to the tree above Alex's tent to get a better range with his perception ability. Alex, who knows that he is protected by Crobat, started to fall asleep. Chapter 122. In the early morning, Alex starts to get up slowly. As always, he starts to get his Pokemon out of their Pokeballs before he does something else. After that, he starts to prepare breakfast for him and his Pokemon. Alex's Pokemon that come out of their Pokeballs greet each other and start talking to each other a bit as Alex prepares breakfast for them. Torchic is the first to run to Gardevoir and speak loudly to Gardevoir. Big sister, I had such a great dream yesterday. I was a strong and beautiful Blaziken who defeated the strongest Pokemon there is in the world. Gardevoir, who heard the excited words of Torchic, said with a smile, "Oh really, that sounds pretty impressive. Although it's just a dream, I think that you will definitely become a strong and beautiful Blaziken like in this dream." Torchic expressed an excited expression at Gardevoir's statement and said, "Really, big sister? That sounds great. I can't wait to become a strong and beautiful Blaziken." Gardevoir just smiled softly when she said, "Yes, I really believe that. By the way, which Pokemon did you defeat in your dream?" Torchic smiled as she innocently said, "Of course the future strongest Pokemon will be a Pokemon from our family, which is probably Cizor, before I defeat him." After saying that, she gave a nervous smile as she quickly said, "Ah, of course big sister is very strong too." Gardevoir just smiled softly and began to stroke Torchic's head when she heard these words. Cizor and Crobat, who also heard the conversation, showed different expressions of Torchic's statement. Cizor showed a proud expression and Crobat showed an annoyed one. Crobat, who saw Cizor's proud expression, said, "What are you so proud of, you grill tongs? Do you really think that a dream will make you the strongest Pokemon in this group?" Cizor just smiled when he said, "No, but maybe that I beat you up last time makes me the strongest Pokemon?" Crobat, who heard this, said out loud, "What are you talking about? You only won because you were a little lucky and not because you were stronger." Cizor gave a disdainful expression when he said it was clear that you loser would use excuses for your defeat. "That doesn't surprise me a bit. Shut up, you pile of scrap, or I'll send you flying. Try it, you fat bat." Alex, who was following the conversation through the telepathy of Gardevoir, showed a small smile when he got an idea of this topic. "Hey Cizor and Crobat, just shut up, I want to say something." Cizor, Crobat, and the other Pokemon stopped talking and waited for Alex to something to say. "Since many of you have become much stronger now, I thought about doing something else in today's training exercise." When Alex saw the confused expressions of his Pokemon, he said out loud, "Welcome everyone, to the Alex Tournament number 2. After the massive success of the first tournament, decided the organizer to hosting another tournament. Today we have 4 incredibly strong Pokemon fightings for the second trophy in this important tournament. In Participant Box 1, we have the defending champion Cizor, a melee monster that is fast, skilled, and deadly. In Participant Box 2 we have Crobat, a skilled assassin and one skillful all-rounder who hosts many different types of attacks. In Participant Box 3 we have Ditto, a master of transformation and a skilled fighter. In Participant Box 4 we have Gardevoir, a beautiful and strong fighter. She has supernatural skills and superior intelligence, which makes her the favorite of the audience. Cizor, Crobat, and Ditto look at Alex with different emotions. They felt as if Alex wasn't completely fair with the introduction. Torchic looked excited and started to cheer loudly. Celadon was also looking excited, even if he wasn't cheering as loudly as Torchic. Alex also thought about letting Celadon take part in this tournament, but after a bit of thought, decided against it. He doesn't think Celadon can really win against one of the 4 Pokemon in a fight. Maybe in the next tournament where he is already in his final form is it possible and makes sense for him to participate. Cizor looked at Crobat and Gardevoir and said, "Am I imagining this, or was the speech much longer than the last time?" Crobat said thoughtfully, "Yes, you are right. He made this joke a lot longer this time." Gardevoir said with a gentle smile, "Big brother, why do you mind such a harmless little joke so much? Don't you see how happy Torchic is?" Cizor and Crobat looked at the cute Torchic jumping excitedly and couldn't refute the words of Gardevoir. After a few seconds of thought, Alex told the tournament tree to the contestants. Cizor v/S Ditto. Final? V/S? Crobat v/S Gardevoir. Alex, who saw this tournament tree, could not say for sure which of these Pokemon will win this tournament. Although he has a guess who has the best chance, it is only a guess and can deviate. Like the last tournament where Alex thought the Crobat should win easily but unexpectedly lost the tournament. Chapter 123. Alex, who is the referee in this tournament, looked at Cizor and Ditto. He waited until both Pokemon were ready and gave the signal to start. Ditto immediately used Transform and surprisingly transformed into Gardevoir and not Cizor. Ditto, who could only transform into Pokemon that he sees at this point in time, was able to see Gardevoir relatively well, who was watching the battle, and therefore transform himself into a Gardevoir. Although Alex isn't sure whether it is allowed to use Transform in a real tournament and if you can use it like that, he said nothing when Ditto was using the move like that. He doesn't think that it would be fair to ban this type of Transform for Ditto just because it is probably not allowed in official tournaments. Cizor was slightly surprised that Ditto turned into Gardevoir, but he said nothing and started using Agility. Although he had to admit that Ditto is not an easy opponent, Cizor wasn't really afraid to fight Ditto. He thinks the Ditto of the 4 participants is probably the weakest in 1v/S1 fights. Ditto wasted no time and at the same time immediately started preparing Will-O-Wisp. Cizor, who had practiced the move Agility a bit, was a bit faster and managed to use his move shortly before Ditto's move was done. After not even a second, Ditto used Will-O-Wisp, and Cizor, who wasn't sure he could avoid this move, used Protect. Ditto, who saw that Cizor had blocked his attack, showed no expression and began to prepare Will-O-Wisp again. Ditto knows how much interference and harm Will-O-Wisp can inflict on a Pokemon that is weak against fire through Alex, who explained to him that even status moves do more damage if they are used against Pokemon that are weak against this type. Cizor, who knows that too, knew that he had to quickly find a way around this move before he was crippled by this move. He quickly prepares his next move. Ditto, who was done prepare his next Will-O-Wisp, immediately used it against Cizor, who was using the move Substitutes at the same time. Substitutes in this world function like a second skin that can absorb small amounts of damage. Although this move is not very popular in this world, Alex, who played the Pokemon games, knows how useful the move can be. Alex explained a lot of his tactics to his Pokemon and of course, also explained the peculiarities of the move that the Pokemon can use in great detail. Will-O-Wisp, who hit the second skin of Cizor, did not start to burn directly as it usually did immediately but began to slowly go out when he made contact with this surface. Ditto, who saw that Cizor found a good way to avoid his best move in this fight, knew that he had to find another way to win. Unfortunately, Ditto's moves aren't on the expert rank like Gardevoir's moves are, with making it impossible to use a move like Disable now. Although Disabled can also be used when it is not on the expert rank, the restrictions are too great to be able to use it now. Alex thought it was a shame that Ditto was 2 levels lower than Cizor and therefore couldn't use the move. Ditto immediately started preparing the move Calm Mind. At the same time, Cizor began preparing Sandstorm. Ditto, who has now successfully strengthened himself, was surrounded by a small sandstorm that lightly disturbs his eyesight. He ignored the sandstorm and started using Calm Mind again. Cizor uses the time to use Razor Wind against the ground and slowly uses the dust to make the sandstorm completely opaque for Ditto to see through. Ditto, who used Calm Mind twice, was not afraid that he might not see Cizor and started preparing Thunderbolt. Alex, who saw this, knew why Ditto didn't care that he couldn't see Cizor. Ditto, who transforms into Gardevoir, not only has access to the moves but also to the sense of the Pokémon. Gardevoir, that is a Psychic-type Pokémon, is very good at discovering other Pokémon as long as they are not much stronger than them and it's close enough. Psychic-type Pokémon can even detect Ghost-type Pokémon that can hide in shadows as long as the Ghost Pokémon is not much stronger than the Psychic-type Pokémon is, can it detect Ghost Pokémon. In comparison, Cizor Sandstrom isn't much better than a Ghost Pokémon for Gardevoir's sense. Cizor, who thinks he's safe in this Sandstrom, started using Agility. Ditto, who knows the positions of Cizor, uses Thunderbolt and hits Cizor on the head, who was not expecting this attack. Cizor's substitutes was broken instantly and Cizor was vulnerable again. Cizor, who was confused about why Ditto could hit him, knew that he didn't have time to think, and immediately started running in the direction of Gardevoir. With the reinforcement of the move Agility, Cizor's racing speed is very fast. While running, he also started using the move Metal Claw. Ditto, who felt that Cizor was running quickly in his direction, began to use Teleport and teleport to the edge of the arena. Then he immediately starts using Thunderbolt again. Cizor, who understood Ditto's strategy, started chasing after Ditto. Every time Ditto teleports away, he runs again after Ditto. Cizor, who often saw Gardevoir's fights, knows that Ditto can't use this move very often, and because of the high speed he can sometimes dodge Ditto's attacks. Although he is sometimes hit by Ditto's attacks, the damage is not very high. He also uses Roost when running to heal himself a bit. Ditto felt that he was slowly running into a wall and knew that he had to change his strategy, but after thinking about it for a long time, he just couldn't think of a good option. After not being chased for not even 1 minute, Ditto couldn't use the move Teleport and had to try to fight Cizor. Cizor, who was very fast than other Pokémon, was able to force Ditto's teleport much faster and was able to consume Ditto's teleport much faster. Although Cizor was hit several times by Thunderbolt and had lost around 35 HP%, he still had more than 40 HP% left, substitutes used. But Ditto, who still had 90 HP%, Sandstorm, was not happy about this fact. He knew that move Teleport is more important as HP points for most Psychic Pokémon. Ditto, who knew that he now had to hope for a crit, began to prepare for his next attack. Cizor, who had finally used up all of Ditto's teleports, quickly ran towards Ditto and started using Metal Claw. Ditto used Thunderbolt again and hit Cizor. Cizor ignored the pain and used Metal Claw along with the speed he had built up while running. Ditto, who is a Gardevoir, was thrown 5 meters away and suffered a lot of damage. A move on the expert rank together with the accumulated speed is no joke when it hits. Gardevoir, Ditto, who is not a Pokémon with good defense values and gets double damage from steel moves, suffers a big wound. Ditto, who was hit, began to bleed heavily and had hardly any HP, 25%, left. Cizor quickly tried to end the fight and used Metal Claw again. Cizor knew that Metal Claw is faster than any move Ditto can use, so that he has no concern about what Ditto can do. Ditto, who knew he would unconscious when hit by this move, quickly used Protect. To Alex's surprise, Cizor broke through Ditto's Protect and met Ditto, who had barely any HP left. Although the attack was severely weakened, it was enough to defeat Ditto. Alex, who saw that Ditto is unconscious, quickly ran to Ditto to heal him. Chapter 124. Ditto, who has now transformed back after he passed out, had many small wounds on his body. Alex wasted no time and started to heal Ditto with a super potion that he pulled out of his TRH device. Ditto, who was back in his senses after a short time, showed a slightly sad expression that he had lost the fight against Cizor. That was one of the rare moments when Alex didn't see Ditto's standards emotionless face and can really read emotions off his face. Alex knew how important this fight was to Ditto after seeing that Ditto was showing emotions and not hiding them like he usually does. He tries his best to compliment Ditto and cheer him up a bit. For 3 minutes, he only praised Ditto's performance and made it sound as if Cizor only won because of luck and Ditto deserved the victory more. Cizor showed a slightly annoyed expression when he heard Alex say sentences like if Cizor couldn't substitute you would have easily won this fight, and sentences like also Cizor is several levels higher than you, which is very unfair, but he didn't say to Alex clear biased statements. Although Alex exaggerates with his statements, they are not completely illogical and rather there to cheer up Ditto and not to reflay in a fair way. Alex, who saw a cute little smile from Ditto when he was finished, knew that his work wasn't in vain. Although he really had to work hard for 3 minutes to quickly come up with compliments, this hard work was worth it if Ditto is feeling a little better now. Although Alex doesn't agree 100% with the statements he told Ditto, the statements that he told Ditto to have a good piece of truth in them. For example, the fact that Ditto would have won if Cizor couldn't substitute is not unrealistic. Although Alex thinks that the fight would be more like 50-50 if it really was that Cizor couldn't do substitutes and not a 100% win for Ditto, as he said. After 5 minutes, Alex went back into the area and waited until Gardevoir and Crobat were ready. Gardevoir and Crobat nodded and Alex gave the signal to start. Crobat wasted no time and quickly began to fly in the direction of Gardevoir while he prepared Cross Poison. Gardevoir prepares Thunder Wave while Crobat flies towards Gardevoir. After just a few seconds, she was using the move Thunder Wave. Surprisingly, Gardevoir used her move first even though Crobat's move was prepared much faster. Although Crobat has prepared Cross Poison first, he cannot use it because Gardevoir is still too far away and therefore not within the range of attack. Crobat, who was just flying in the direction of Gardevoir, found it difficult to avoid the move and was hit by Thunder Wave. Although Crobat was hit by the move and thereby he was a good deal slow while flying, he did not show any nervous expression. After less than 1 second, Crobat was in attack range, which he committed to use immediately. He's using Cross Poison and Gardevoir, who doesn't want to be hit by it, use Fast Protect. Alex thought that Gardevoir might have used Protect a bit too early, even if she is weak against poison moves. Afterward, Gardevoir used Teleport to teleport out of range of Crobat. Although the use of Teleport is easy for Gardevoir, it also takes more than 1 second to use so that you cannot avoid the attack of Crobat, who is so close if you do not prepare it beforehand. Crobat, who was expecting this, quickly began to prepare for his next move. Alex, who saw the Crobat stop chasing Gardevoir after being hit by Thunder Wave, looked pleased. He is very satisfied that the Crobat understood how he can best use his advantages and no longer underestimated his opponents like him in the last tournament. Gardevoir immediately started preparing a move a little later. Although preparing a move this late when Crobat is in the middle of preparing it is a bit risky, she still started using Calm Mind. She was sure that her expert rank move would finish quickly enough to give her enough time to use Teleport to avoid Crobat's move. Crobat was done with his move after Gardevoir was just half done with her move and started sending a large ball full of shadows towards Gardevoir with a very quick pace. Alex, who saw the speed of Crobat's shadow ball, showed a satisfied expression. He knows that of all moves all his Pokémon can do, Crobat's shadow ball is the move with the best move mastery. Although the move is only expert rank like many other moves of his Pokémon, this move is still a bit better trained than the other moves of his Pokémon. Maybe only Cizor's Roost has similar move mastery. Although Gardevoir was more than 50 meters away, the shadow ball flew very quickly in the direction of Gardevoir, who is currently using Calm Mind. Fortunately, she can still move, so it is still possible to avoid this move. Gardevoir quickly began to take an evasive step, but failed to completely avoid the attack and was hit. She took great damage and lost more than 35% HP from that one move. Gardevoir did not show an annoyed expression that she was hit by this move. She knew that she could avoid this move next time when she is prepared for it. Crobat didn't show a happy expression when he barely hit Gardevoir, but a thoughtful expression. Chapter 125. Gardevoir knew that she could probably dodge any attack at this distance if she was ready for such an attack and began to use Calm Mind. Crobat showed no happy expression after that successful hit. He knew that only hits because he had successfully surprised Gardevoir and nothing more. He started preparing for Swift when he saw Gardevoir start reinforcing with Calm Mind. Gardevoir's Calm Mind on the expert rank finished first and she started using Calm Mind again. Her plan was pretty simple: reinforce yourself with Calm Mind while Crobat can't do anything and then defeat him with Psychic. Although this plan is simple, it is very effective and well thought out. Crobat uses Swift and begins to prepare Swift again while the attack flies relatively slowly towards Gardevoir. Swift is a very strange move in this world because it works like a guided missile and chases a target even when the target is moving, making it almost impossible to avoid that move. Another special feature of this move is that it gets faster and faster the longer it flies, which makes it impossible for even very fast Pokémon to run out of this move with only speed. The only way to avoid this move that Alex knows is either to go out of range, depends on the move mastery of the move, or to block the move with, for example, a tree or another Pokémon. Unfortunately, Alex has used a straight surface with no hindrance as a fighting surface, which makes it impossible for Gardevoir to avoid this move in this way. Gardevoir, who knew that she could not avoid this move, does not move and began to use Calm Mind. She was hit by Swift, but it looked to Alex that she not have taken much harm from that hit. Alex thinks that she probably hasn't lost 10% of her HP from this hit. Gardevoir, who saw the Crobat preparing another move, knew that the Crobat would very likely want to use Swift again. She gave a small smile as she prepared her next move. Gardevoir, who started preparing her move a little later than Crobat, managed to finish her move first. She doesn't wait and uses Disable on Crobat, who was about to finish preparing his next Swift. Gardevoir didn't waste any time and began to prepare Calm Mind again. Crobat, who suddenly felt that his preparation was interrupted and that he could no longer use this move, knew immediately what had happened. As a big brother of Gardevoir, he knows of course that Gardevoir has the move Disable on the expert rank. He didn't show an annoyed expression but a malicious smile as if he had foreseen it. Crobat's smile reminded Alex of a supervillain who successfully tricked the hero. Crobat flew in the direction of Gardevoir, which is at the edge of the combat area. The fighting area was marked by Alex before the fight so that the Pokémon can easily see where they are allowed to fight. The area is about 80 meters long and wide, which makes it as big as the area of the Kanto Rookie Tournament. Crobat, who was only about 25 meters away, suddenly stopped flying in the direction of Gardevoir and started preparing his next move. Gardevoir, who saw what Crobat was doing, did not understand why he only flew up to 25 meters. Although it makes it much easier to chase after she teleports away, 25 meters is a bit too short to be able to safely hit Gardevoir when it is prepared to evade. She was using Calm Mind and felt that she is amplified to the maximum. Gardevoir, who knows that 25 meters are not a very safe range, began to prepare teleport in order to expand a large distance from Crobat. Better safe than sorry. Although she can only increase the distance to ca 55 meters, it is better than 25 meters for her fighting style that prefers medium and large distances. Crobat, who was done with the preparation of his move, to the surprise of Gardevoir, did not use Shadow Ball or another attacking move but the move Mean Look. The move Mean Look that was used could not be avoided by Gardevoir and prevented Gardevoir from moving away from Crobat. Alex, who has already tested this move sufficiently, knew that Teleport cannot be used in the Pokémon concerned is hit by this move. Although Mean Look looks strong, in reality, it is not a particularly good move because the requirements for successful use are very difficult to meet. If Mean Look is not on the expert level, it can only be used on Pokémon that are lower in level than the user and not too far away from the user. In addition, the range depends on the level difference between the target and the user, so it is also relatively useless against Pokémon with only one level difference. This move is completely useless against Pokémon who have the same level as Crobat or are too far away from Crobat. Crobat gave a happy smile that looks very creepy to Alex as he started flying relatively quickly towards Gardevoir. Though Thunder Wave hit Crobat, it is still much faster than Gardevoir. While flying in the direction of Gardevoir, he prepares the move Cross Poison. Gardevoir, who saw that she was fooled by Crobat, showed a surprised expression. She didn't think she could be outsmarted by Crobat because she is the Pokémon with the highest IQ in Alex's Pokémon group. Although she doesn't think that she is better than the other Pokémon just because she has a higher IQ, she always thought that at least she couldn't be outsmarted by other Pokémon. She suddenly felt very naive about these thoughts. Alex saw how Gardevoir showed a surprised and confused expression and understood why Gardevoir was confused. He gave a sad smile when he thought, "Child, it's time to wake up." Although IQ is a good quality in Pokemon fighting, it is not as important as many trainers believe. Alex thinks that experience, the anticipation of the opponent, and creativity, etc., are much more important traits for a Pokemon than just IQ is. Gardevoir, who saw Crobat only 5 meters away from her, suddenly woke up from her thoughts and began to prepare for her next move. She knew that she should concentrate on the fight now and not stand around thinking about it. Crobat used Cross Poison and Gardevoir, who was not quite focused, was hit in the head. A critical hit. Gardevoir's head was bleeding profusely and had a nasty wound on it when she fell unconscious to the floor. Alex quickly ran towards Gardevoir with a worried expression and a hyper potion in his hand. He furiously yelled at Crobat when he treated Gardevoir even though he knew Crobat had done nothing wrong. For those who are interested in why Cross Poison did so much more damage than Shadow Ball, here is the explanation. Shadow Ball and Cross Poison are expert rank moves and therefore do a good deal more damage. Although it doesn't matter for the comparison, I want to mention it. Gardevoir gets 2x damage from Ghost-type moves and Poison-type moves, which are also relatively unimportant in this case. The damage difference comes from 2 reasons. 1. Stab increased Cross Poison damage by 50%. 2. Gardevoir has a bad defense value of 65 and a good SP def value of 115, which means that she gets more damage from physical-type moves like Cross Poison. These are the 2 reasons why Gardevoir got a lot more damage from Cross Poison. Together with the crit, she couldn't withstand this move. Chapter 126. Gardevoir wakes up shortly after Alex healed her injury. She showed a small smile, but for Alex, it looked as if she wanted to hide her sadness and disappointment from Alex and the other Pokemon. Alex looked serious when he said, "We're taking a 10-minute break. Gardevoir, come here please, I have to talk to you." Gardevoir and Alex went together to a sunny place with beautiful surroundings. Area 1 hashtag is really very peaceful and safe compared to other areas on this island. Alex sat on the grass and looked with a mild expression at the beautiful surroundings. Gardevoir said nothing and sat down next to Alex with a slightly confused expression. Though she can guess what Alex wants to talk to her about, she didn't think the conversation would start that way. After a few seconds of silence, Alex said quietly, "Kid, what's wrong?" Gardevoir, hearing this and feeling the feelings of concern in Alex's words, suppressed her sad thoughts and put on a happy expression as she said, "Father, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me." Alex, who heard these words, showed a disappointed expression. Although Alex didn't say anything, Gardevoir felt Alex's disappointment. The thought that her father is disappointed with her almost breaks her heart. She wished at this moment that she couldn't feel her father's feelings so that she wouldn't feel those painful feelings. Gardevoir couldn't hold back her emotions anymore when she said with almost tears, "Father, please don't give up on me." Alex showed an angry expression when he said out loud, "You stupid child, who told you that I was going to give you up? That you can even imagine these things makes me very angry." Gardevoir started to cry as she said, "But father, I can feel that you are disappointed with how bad I have fought. Please don't lie to me. I can feel these feelings." Alex gave a confused expression when he said, "Disappointed with how you fought?" Then he gave a small smile as he said, "Gardevoir, I don't care how you fought in the last fight. As long as you recognize your mistakes and you try to learn from them what you did wrong, I will remember this fight in a positive light." Alex showed a serious expression when he said, "Gardevoir, I'm not disappointed with you, I'm disappointed with myself. The fact that you've tried to hide your emotions from me shows that I'm not a good father." Gardevoir had a confused, happy, and sour expression when Alex said that. She showed a slightly angry expression when she said, "Father, you are a very good father. Please don't insult yourself." Alex, who felt the angry expression of Gardevoir for the first time, started to laugh as he stroked Gardevoir's head. Gardevoir pouted at her father for showing a happy expression on her anger. Alex stopped to laugh after a few seconds and said seriously, "Gardevoir, I can understand that you want to be an adult now, but you have to know that you will always be my child to me. You can talk to me about anything. Please don't start hiding your emotions." Then he said in a joke-like tone, "I don't want to guess the emotions as I do with Ditto." Gardevoir gave a small smile as she said, "Father, that's not very friendly. Ditto is much more open now than at the beginning." "Yeah, I know. That was just a little joke." Gardevoir got up from the grass and said with a smile, "Thank you, Father." Alex also got up and said, "Gardevoir, we're a family. Try to worry less about things like that." "Okay, Father." After that, she showed a nervous expression. Alex, who saw this, said, "Gardevoir, what's going on?" Gardevoir suppressed her nervous expression and said seriously, "Father, can you tell me where Mother is?" Alex, who remembers the last time he answered this question, had a treacherous expression when he said, "I'll explain it to you when we leave this island. I have to show you a place to explain it better." Gardevoir nodded only and did not ask why her father suddenly became so sad. She didn't want to think about it right now. When Alex and Gardevoir came back to the group, everyone in the group gave Gardevoir a concerned expression. Even proud Pokémon like Crobat and Cizor showed slight concern. Gardevoir, feeling the concern of her family, felt an indescribable feeling of happiness. She felt that she had a wonderful family. Chapter 127. Cizor and Crobat, who were waiting on the battlefield for Alex's signal, look at each other deeply. Although neither would admit it, they see each other as rivals and as a benchmark to compare their progress. Alex took the chance to have a little fun. Welcome back, dear audience. Today the final takes place where we can find out who will win this tournament. Cizor and Crobat had very similar thoughts after hearing this. "What are you talking about, you stupid F***CK? The last fight was 15 minutes ago." Alex ignored Cizor and Crobat's expressions as he continued. "On my right, I have the fighter Crobat who successfully prevailed against the participant Gardevoir with his very good luck." Gardevoir and the other Pokémon started laughing when they heard these words from Alex. Even Ditto, who often showed no emotion, smiled when he heard it. Crobat just had one thought: don't hit your trainer, don't hit your trainer, don't hit your trainer. Suppress those thoughts. On my left, we have the defending champion Cizor, who has successfully prevailed against Ditto with his bot move. Although Cizor didn't show anything on his face, he is slightly annoyed that Alex uses the word bot move to describe his victory. Alex not only successfully cheered up Ditto and Gardevoir but also annoyed his two favorite troublemakers. He felt very happy with the result. He pulled away and signaled Cizor and Crobat to begin the fight. Crobat and Cizor immediately started preparing their moves without a word. Both Pokémon have already had good fighting experience and can develop a strategy that can bring them victory even without Alex. Although they don't have as good tactics as Alex, they are better than most trainers when they just have to come up with tactics for themselves. Alex, who spends a lot of time explaining his Pokémon exactly how his tactics work and what advantages they bring, is a strange trainer for most trainers who do not explain their Pokémon tactics. He thinks that a Pokémon needs to understand his tactics and why he uses them to get the most out of his tactics. It reminds him of the saying, "Give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you will feed him for his life." Crobat, who finished first, was using Taunt and interrupted Cizor, who was about to use Focus Energy. Although Taunt cannot prevent the move Roost because Roost is on the expert rank and the level difference is not big enough, it can prevent any other non-attack moves of Cizor. Cizor, who realized that he was hit by this move, showed an annoyed expression as he ran towards Crobat while preparing a move. Crobat is also preparing a move at the same time. For the fairness of this tournament, Alex uses the same rules from the Kanto Rookie Tournament so that the Crobat cannot fly very high. Cizor successfully prepared his move Metal Claw, but had to get within range of Crobat to use the move. Crobat did not have this problem but took a good bit longer so that he only uses his move when Cizor is only 10 meters away and just jumping into the air to hit him. A yellow ball was thrown in the direction of Cizor when Crobat used his move Confuse Ray. Cizor, who is in the air, was hit by the move but showed a calm expression as he used his own move. He closed his eyes and attacked the place where Crobat was before he was hit by Confused Ray. This trick seemed to work when Crobat was knocked to the ground when he was hit by Cizor's Metal Claw. To Alex, who saw Crobat being thrown from 10 meters to the ground, it looked like Crobat had taken more damage from the move than he normally would. Although he saw that, he didn't show any surprising expression. Crobat, who took a lot of damage, started flying again and quickly began to fly away from Cizor. At the same time, he started preparing his next move. Cizor, seeing the Crobat about to fly away, began to give in to chase Crobat while preparing his next move. Unfortunately, Crobat is way too fast for Cizor, who can't improve his speed, so he was unsuccessful in his chase. Crobat used his Shadow Ball while Cizor chases after him. Cizor tried to evade but failed and suffered some damage. Although it took much less damage than Crobat from his hit, it is still relatively good damage. Alex saw how Crobat outsmarted his opponent in this fight, too, knew immediately who of all 4 Pokémon was the best at creating good tactics. Compared to the other 3 Pokémon, Crobat was by far the best, which surprised Alex a bit. Alex didn't think Crobat had such a good tactical talent, or at least not one that he was that much better than his other Pokémon. Cizor, who saw that he couldn't fight like this, thought about what to do next. He had an idea and started running away from Crobat. Crobat only showed a disdain smile as he chased Cizor and kept the distance from the two permanently at 25 meters. He knew that he couldn't keep too great a distance, otherwise, it would be too easy for Cizor to dodge his attacks. Cizor, realizing that he had no choice but to fight at this distance, started using his only ranged combat move. Razor Wind. Alex, who saw that Cizor was forced to fight in ranged combat, knew that the fight was over. After almost 2 minutes, the fight was over with Crobat looking arrogantly at the unconscious Cizor. Alex, who saw this, does not think that Cizor was weaker but that the Crobat was better than Cizor in fights without a trainer. Although it is probably arrogant, he thinks that if he controlled Cizor in this fight, Cizor would win this fight. Not that that's important. He stopped thinking about these unnecessary things and started healing Cizor. The main reason Cizor lost is because Crobat had all the answers to all of Cizor's strengths and Cizor had no way of doing much harm to Crobat from a mid-range distance. Razor Wind is okay but really not worth talking about compared to Crobat's expert moves. Also, Cizor's important move Agility was prevented by Crobat. The only thing that Cizor was able to use was the Sandstorm hiding strategy that he used at the tournament. But this tactic is completely useless against Crobat, who is a flying-type Pokémon and can easily sweep dust off the battlefield. Cizor's two best strategies are completely countered by Crobat. Chapter 128. Area number 14. Alex and his Pokémon continue to explore the area together, looking for an Eevee. Although Alex wanted an Eevee, he would add it to his team only if it meets his minimum requirements. Unfortunately, he rarely met an Eevee in this area, and each of those Eevee was too talentless for Alex. Alex hadn't even seen a shallow silver Eevee. While walking, Alex and his Pokémon were often attacked by other Pokémon that Alex and company easily defeated. He tried to train Torchic or Celadon whenever he came across a weak Pokémon. He didn't want to miss these little opportunities. Crobat notified Alex that a Pokémon was hanging on a tree 50 meters from here. Alex, who was walking in this direction, saw without any surprise that it was a young Ariados waiting for prey on this tree. Pokémon, Ariados. LV, 22. Type, Bug/Poison. Abilities, Swarm. Gender, Male. Potential, Shallow Bronze. Moves: Constrict, Poison Sting, String Shot, Absorb, Infestation, Scary Face, Nightshade, Shadow Sneak. Alex thought, although he is a bit too strong, I can probably try Torchic for this fight. Torchic, who has not yet experienced a difficult fight, can use the valuable experience well. When the group was only 20 meters away, Alex said, "Torchic, you will be the one fighting this time." Alex's Pokémon looked at him with surprise that he let Torchic fight such a tough opponent. This group knows that Torchic would very likely not be able to win against this opponent. Although Torchic has very good base values for a Pokemon with 2 evolution, it cannot be compared to an Ariados who is already fully evolved. Together with the relatively large level advantage, Torchic's chances are not particularly good. The only 2 advantages of Torchic are type advantage and overheat being on the expert rank. Together with her okayish SPATK of 70 and the move Sunny Day, Torchic should be able to inflict a ridiculous amount of damage on Ariados in a short time. Although it sounds like Torchic should easily win with these advantages, Alex thought differently. Torchic's best move, Overheat, can be used effectively only once or twice at max. So the Torchic has to damage enough with these hits to defeat Ariados or at least deal as much damage that Torchic can and then defeat him with Peck. That means if Torchic doesn't hit Ariados twice with her move Overheat, she will automatically lose. Together with the fact that she can't take much damage herself, the Torchic's win rate shouldn't be very high. At least without the help of Alex. Alex, who knew this, would of course not let Torchic fight Ariados alone. After he decided that Torchic should fight, he went to Gardevoir. He told her via telepathy, Gardevoir, prepare the move Psychic to use in an emergency if it becomes dangerous. Gardevoir looked at Alex with a gentle smile after hearing his voice in her mind. Pokemon are usually so robust that they would hardly take any permanent damage unless they are unconscious. So the Gardevoir thought that Alex was very, very careful. Even without this, she and Alex's other Pokemon can easily save Torchic if something happens. Alex went to Torchic and explained what to watch out for when she fights and that she should listen to his guidelines. Torchic showed a lively expression and no fear for fighting against a much stronger and more experienced Pokemon. Okay, Torchic. Start with Sunny Day. Torchic started to use Sunny Day without thinking, and the surroundings suddenly became warmer. At that moment, Alex thought that Torchic would be a good heater. Ariados, who had been watching Alex's group on the tree the whole time, saw Torchic suddenly make a move that made the air warmer. Although it didn't want to fight this strong group, it realized that it no more had a choice. Without hesitation, it started preparing a move while sitting in the tree. Torchic, now use Overheat. Alex saw that Ariados was preparing a move and knew that the best chance to use Overheat was now. For Ariados, who had no move on the expert rank, it was impossible to make any movement while preparing that move. So Torchic could easily get a free hit. Overheat, which is on the expert rank, was done before Ariados could finish preparing its move. A big ball of fire flew straight towards Ariados with quick departure. Ariados was hit and was thrown off the tree. At the same time, the whole tree started to burn on which Ariados was sitting. To Alex's surprise, the tree stopped burning after a few seconds. Alex, who didn't quite understand why this happened, didn't think about it but concentrated on the fight. Ariados lost a ridiculous amount of HP from that one hit. It looked like he lost more than 70% HP. Although it is in pain, it still used the move that it had prepared. 2 large pink-tipped needles were thrown towards Torchic when Ariados was using Poison Sting. Torchic tried to evade but was still hit, and the spot the needles hit show pink color. Alex, who knows that Torchic was badly poisoned, showed no nervous expression. He knew that the fight was as good as won if he didn't make a mistake. As Ariados was preparing his next move, Alex said with a smile, Torchic, repeat the move. Torchic, who was a bit faster now, used the move Overheat and successfully defeated a stronger opponent. Easier than expected. Alex saw how quickly Torchic can inflict damage on a Pokemon and was really impressed. As he thought about these things, Torchic suddenly started to glow. Chapter 129. Alex didn't waste any time and immediately took out the 3 scales of the Charizard filled with fire energy which he had received after winning the Kanto Rookie Tournament along with Torchic's egg. Torchic, absorb as much energy as you can. Torchic nodded and began to absorb as much fire energy as possible from these scales. She stopped after successfully absorbing the energy of 1 scale and tried to focus on the evolution process. Alex wasn't surprised when he saw that Torchic could only absorb 1 scale. Pokemon with 2 evolution can often not absorb a lesser amount of energy during the first evolution. As was the case with Kirlia, for example. Torchic began to shine even more intensely and slowly began to change her body's shape. Alex and his Pokemon were eagerly watching Torchic, who was slowly transforming. After a few seconds, Torchic stopped glowing and showed her new form. Ian, this isn't even my final form. Pokemon, Combusken. LD, 16. Type, Fire/Fighting. Abilities, Speed Boost, Hidden Ability. Gender, Female. Potential, Gold. Move, Growl, Scratch, Ember, Sand Attack, Peck, Double Kick. Innate Talent, Attract, Innate Talent, Sunny Day, Innate Talent, Overheat, E. Combusken, which is now 0.8 meters tall, is of the same size as a small child. Together with her cute look, she looked like a young kid to Alex. Alex saw the Torchic evolve correctly at the intended level and showed a slightly confused look. That's weird. I thought the reason Celadon and Kirlia took so long was that they're too young, but after seeing this, I'm not so sure anymore. I should ask Professor Walter about this topic, though he may also not know about it. Alex, who had spent the first few months in this world reading Pokemon books, knows more than enough basic knowledge a trainer needs to have. In these books, it was often said that it is not known under which conditions a Pokemon evolution occurs, when no item is used, like evolution stones. Many Pokemon species have different requirements to evolve early, so it is not easy to test. In addition, there seems to be no general rule that is always 100% true. There are few tips, such as, young Pokemon are more likely to evolve later if they reach that specific level too early. But these tips do not always apply. Cizor looked wistfully at Combusken and thought, she's growing up so fast. Gardevoir, who can feel the emotions of others, could feel this strong emotion of Cizor. She remembered that Cizor also showed such emotion when she evolved. Although she also felt this emotion from Alex and other Pokemon, the emotion of Cizor was unusually intense. She gave a small kind smile as she looked in the direction of Cizor. Cizor noticed the Gardevoir looking at him strangely but said nothing. Combusken ran to Alex and the group of Pokemon and started talking loudly about her evolution. She started talking to everyone about it for a bit. Although everyone is a member of the family, and Combusken does get along very well with everyone, she has the best of relationships with Alex, Gardevoir, Celadon, and Cizor. Alex and his Pokemon started walking through area number 14 again when Combusken had calmed down a bit. After a few hours of pointless search for a talented Eevee, Alex suddenly heard from Crobat via telepathy. There is a group of 4 Pokemon 100 meters further down the road. Alex, who often heard this word from Crobat, showed no surprised expression when he went to this group. After Alex had walked around 80 meters, he saw 3 Pokemon surrounding a single Pokemon. The group of 3 Pokemon consisted of 3 Fearow. 2 Fearow were bronze and level 22 and 21. And the leader of this group wasn't much better either. Pokemon, Fearow. LD, 23. Type, Normal/Flying. Ability, Keen Eye. Gender, Male. Potential, Bronze. Move, Growl, Peck, Leer, Pursuit, Fury Attack, Aerial Ace, Mirror Move. To Alex's surprise, the Pokemon, who was surrounded by this group of Fearow, was an Eevee. As soon as Alex saw the info of Eevee, he knew he had found the Eevee he was looking for. Pokemon, Eevee. LD, 22. Type, Normal. Ability, Adaptability. Gender, Female. Potential, Shallow Gold. Move, Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Quick Attack, Double Kick, Sand Attack, Bite, Swift. Innate Talent, Rest, Innate Talent, Sleep Talk, Innate Talent, Work Up. When Alex briefly looked at the information, Eevee was fighting like a wild beast against the 3 Fearow. Although she was severely injured, in every attack, she tried to deal as much damage as possible to this group of Fearow. Alex, who saw this aggressive and brave way of fighting, knew that this Pokemon was perfect for his team. Ditto, Crobat, Gardevoir, end the fight quickly. The three Pokemon nodded and started to prepare 3 moves. After less than 2 seconds, Gardevoir used Dazzling Gleam, Crobat used Sludge Bomb, and Ditto, who had transformed into Gardevoir, used Psychic. The 3 Fearow's attention was suddenly drawn to the attacks, and they tried to evade them. Unfortunately, they were too slow and were hit. Each Fearow was severely injured and instantly passed out when hit by the move. Alex saw how easily this fight was won and understood why the number of enemies did not matter with a certain level difference. Eevee, who was helped by Alex's group, didn't show a thankful expression but an aggressive one instead. This expression reminded Alex of Crobat, who was very mad at someone and not of a cute Pokemon. Alex mumbled to himself with a smile on his face, interesting. Chapter 130. Eevee looked aggressively in the direction of Alex's group when they started to speak. Gardevoir transmitted the words of Eevee for Alex via telepathy. "Human, what do you want?" Alex wasn't annoyed at all when he heard these rude words. He just said with a smile, "What do I want?" "It's simple, I want to ask you a question. It's more like an offer. Are you interested in joining my group and leaving this little island?" Eevee, who heard that she had a chance to leave this island, grew interested in the offer. She had heard from the Pokemon around her that this island is very small and the world is so much bigger than one can imagine. Although she grew up on this island, she wanted to leave this island one day to see more of the world. Although she was interested, she continued to show an aggressive face when she said, "And what would you do if I disagree?" Alex, who heard this question, didn't know how to answer for a moment. After a few seconds, he said with an honest expression, "Then I'll defeat you and slowly try to convince you of the advantages you will get." Eevee showed a surprised expression when she heard Alex's answer. Although humans rarely come to this island, many Pokemon have already met humans and know that humans like to lie. She was surprised that Alex didn't lie that he will go away but spoke honestly. Although she now had a better opinion of Alex after he told the truth, she didn't let it change her face and said out loud, "You bastard think you can just beat me? Okay, bring it up. Let's see who's scared of who." Alex, who heard this, looked at his 6 Pokemon from which at least 4 are clearly much stronger than Eevee, and then gave a questioning look back to the Eevee. Eevee was not oblivious of the strength of Alex's Pokemon and knew that she had no chance, but she didn't want to lose without a fight. Though she was a bit annoyed when she saw Alex's questioning gaze. Alex made a helpless expression on his face as he said, "Can't we talk this out? I think it would be better if we talk about it and come to a decision peacefully." "Hey, bastard! Can it be you looking down at me? How dare you? You piece of trash!" Alex instantly stopped smiling and gave a cold look to Eevee. "Oh, so that's how you want to play? You won't calm down until we fight this out. Fine. Crobat, I'll give you 1 minute." Crobat, having more than 15 levels higher, usually doesn't need more than 1 or 2 moves, so 1 minute is a lot of time. Eevee, who knew that she would have to fight the toughest fight of her life, showed no fear but excitement instead. Although Eevee had a slight fear of death, she knew that she will only be caught if she loses and won't lose her life, so that she could fight without any worry. Alex gave a satisfied smile when he saw how Eevee showed no fear and accepted this unfair fight without running away. Although Alex thinks he would never do that, it's a trait that Alex respects. Crobat started preparing a move without waiting for Eevee. At the same time, it was flying in the direction of Eevee at a fast speed. Eevee, who saw how fast Crobat was, immediately knew that there was no way she could overrun these Pokemon. So she also started to prepare a move. Eevee was still preparing her move, but Crobat wasn't gonna wait for her. He had prepared his move Cross Poison, and he quickly flew in front of her to use it. Eevee, who had already suffered damage from fighting the 3 Fearow, was not in good shape. So that if she was hit by Crobat, she should have become outright unconscious. But to Alex's surprise, Eevee still had her eyes open even though she had already taken a lot more damage than her body can endure. When he saw Eevee struggling not to pass out, he said, "Eevee, even though you fought well, you don't stand a chance. It's better if you give up. I don't want to cause you more pain." Eevee gave a mocking look as she used the move Rest to regain health. Alex's eye twitched, and he suppressed the feeling of mocking Eevee. Although he calmed down, he still thought, "Humph. Do you think this can help you win the battle? That's cute." Crobat also shook his head, having similar thoughts as Alex, and started using cross poison again. Eevee also started preparing for a move while being asleep. Sleep talk is indeed a very practical move. Crobat finished his preparing and used cross poison, which almost defeated Eevee again. After that, he saw that it wasn't enough, so he started to prepare a weaker move to avoid causing too much damage to Eevee's body. He knows that Eevee is likely to be a family member soon, so he didn't want to cause unnecessary harm. Eevee was able to finish preparing the move a little earlier than Crobat and used Swift. But that did only a little bit of damage to Crobat, who ignored her attack. Crobat was hardly hurt from this move and showed no expression as he continued to prepare for his next move. Using Wing Attack, he did more than enough damage to Eevee to defeat her. Eevee, who completely overloaded her body, became unconscious and started bleeding a lot from the wounds. Alex, who saw that Eevee had her body covered with an unnecessary amount of injuries, showed a smile as he started to heal Eevee and trap her in a Pokeball. He was very pleased with Eevee's fighting style, even though he thinks she's a bit over the top. Chapter 131. Alex looked for a quiet place after he healed and caught Eevee. After Alex finding a place, he started preparing lunch for his Pokemon. Afterwards, giving each of his Pokemon food to eat, Alex began to think about the best way to convince Eevee to join his family. Even though he defeated and captured Eevee, it doesn't necessarily mean that she would now listen to Alex's orders. After a few seconds, Alex took the Pokeball of Eevee and opened it with one click. Eevee, who came out of the Pokeball, looked confusingly at Alex. Although her eyes gave off a dangerous light when she calmly looked at Alex. If a Pokemon is in a Pokeball, it is not that it is completely excluded from the outside world and cannot see what is happening outside. In fact, the reality is quite the opposite. A Pokemon inside a Pokeball can look outside like looking through a mirror and therefore see the outside world. This is also a reason why Pokemon trainers wear their Pokeballs on the Pokebelt and not put them in their backs. Eevee, who knew that Alex was not well protected now, did not understand why he had pulled her out of Pokeball. Wasn't he afraid that she would suddenly attack him? Alex, who saw this questioning look from Eevee, could imagine what she was so confused about. Although his Pokemon were not directly in front of him, they were close enough to protect Alex if Eevee suddenly tried to attack him. Particularly Gardevoir and Crobat can save Alex very swiftly in such emergencies. Eevee showed an emotionless face as she said, "I admit that you're brave. But not that it matters. Why did you get me out of the Pokeball?" Alex, who was a bit confused with the emotionless face of Eevee, showed a thoughtful expression. He expected retaliation from Eevee, but not that she would become so lifeless. "Eevee, I know that you imagined it differently, but why don't you give it a try? I'm sure you will like it here in my family." Eevee, who heard this, quickly changed her expression from emotionless to completely angry. "Family! You bastard are telling me about family. Do you think I'm so stupid to believe in this kind of lie?" Alex, who heard this aggressive response, felt that he had touched a sore spot. He had a sincere expression as he said, "Why do you think I'm lying? All the 6 Pokemon you can see are my family members." Eevee, who felt that Alex was probably telling the truth, made a hysterical expression and said out loud, "And oh, no! That can't be true. How can it be that you can build a family with a group of different Pokemon? It's impossible." Gardevoir, feeling the extremes of anger, sadness, and unwilling emotions of Eevee, showed a gentle expression as she slowly walked towards Eevee. Eevee, who had never seen her parents and had to survive as a child in this merciless wilderness, not only built up a strong will but also a longing to build a family. 2 weeks ago, she built up enough strength where she started chasing her dream of a family. She found a group of 3 young Eevee who were attacked by a strong Pokemon. Eevee, who saw this as a chance to develop a family, stood in front of the group of Eevee to protect them and began to fight against the strong Pokemon. In this fight, she suffered a lot of damage and needed a little help from the 3 Eevee, who she saved to win this fight. But when she asked for help from the 3 Eevee, she met with disappointment, with 3 Eevee showing a fearful expression and running away to leave her alone in this deadly fight. Eevee, who was given up at this moment by their own species, was furious and defeated the strong Pokemon with her aggressive fighting style which she developed through this situation. Although Eevee survived, she didn't feel happy about it. She felt alone and a wave of irresistible anger at the world. Now that she heard from Alex how easily Alex had achieved her dream, her heart started to break. The emotions she tried to forget all came back. Eevee, with an enraged expression and tears running out of her eyes, shouted loudly, "This is not fair." Gardevoir, who felt the emotion of Eevee, also started to cry. She quickly walked over to Eevee and began to hug her like a big sister would hug her little sister. Eevee started to struggle a little to break free from the embrace but stopped when she felt the warmth of Gardevoir. Although she still had an aggressive expression, she started to calm down a bit. She felt for the first time that another Pokemon was worried about her. This feeling was indescribable for her. Once she calmed down a bit, she couldn't help but think, is this how it feels like that to have a family who cares about you? It feels really good. Eevee thought as she suppressed her tears. Alex saw how Eevee slowly lost her aggressive expression and showed a faint smile, couldn't help but smile himself too. Alex's other Pokemon, who saw Eevee's little smile, were also glad looking at the situation. Even Crobat and Cizor were nodding their head with a small smile on their face looking at Eevee. But when they coincidentally looked at each other, they simply grunted and moved their eyes away and focused on Eevee once again. It looked like Eevee was warmly welcomed by Alex's Pokemon. Alex went to Eevee and said with a small smile, "Eevee, welcome to our family. We're glad to have you." Eevee, who is still in the embrace of Gardevoir, could only nod and let out a faint murmur, "Yes." Chapter 132. 28 days later. Alex sat quietly on a tree stump while Eevee was resting on his lap, looking bored at the surroundings. Eevee, who was in Alex's group for almost 1 month now, has a much gentler personality as long as you don't provoke her. In terms of the Pokemon that are nicest to the other Pokemon, she is ranked 3rd after Gardevoir and Celadon. And she is exceptionally gentle with Alex and Gardevoir. But you shouldn't be fooled by Eevee's gentle personality. Because when it comes to fighting, she becomes a totally different Pokemon. Although she is very gentle with Alex's Pokemon, she has become much more aggressive towards other Pokemon. Especially the Pokemon that attacks Alex and his group. She fights them with a wild expression. In the beginning, she attacked these Pokemon without Alex's permission and almost killed them if Alex hadn't stopped her. When Alex talked to her, Eevee told him that she doesn't want to lose her family and is ready to protect her with her life. Alex had a long talk with her that day so that she could dissipate her fear of losing her family a bit. He also explained that if she doesn't listen to him, she can put her family in danger of falling into traps. Eevee is no longer completely uncontrollable after Alex's explanation. When she sees another Pokemon, she always waits for Alex to instruct her how to handle such a situation. Although she still fights very aggressively against the stranger Pokemon when Alex lets her. In these 28 days, Alex started to catch every silver Pokemon he could find on this island. He stayed in Area 10 # to find more valuable stones, too. And this was the result of the last month. List of Pokemon Alex caught on this island. 1 Golem, Deep Silver LV40, Earthquake, E. 1 Phanpy, Shallow Silver. 2 Phanpy, Silver. 2 Donphan, Shallow Silver. 1 Donphan, Silver. 1 Donphan, Deep Silver. 3 Onyx, Shallow Silver. 1 Onyx, Deep Silver. 2 Geodude, shallow silver. 4 Graveler, shallow silver. 1 Graveler, silver. 1 Golem, silver. Shallow silver Pokemon, 12. Silver Pokemon, 5. Deep silver Pokemon, 3. List of valuable items Alex found on this island. 2 Top Moonstone. 5 High Moonstones. 15 Mid Moonstones. 42 Low Moonstone. 1 High Water Stones. 2 Low Water Stone. 1 King's Rock. 1 Deep Sea Scale, maybe. 153 Pearls. Alex, who found many valuable Pokemon and stones, was satisfied with his exploration. Together with the increase in the strength of his Pokemon, the trip to the island was a complete success. Pokemon, Crobat. LV, 40. Type, Poison/Flying. Abilities, Inner Focus. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Absorb, Supersonic, Astonish, Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Swift, Haze, Leech Life, Meme Look. Innate Talent, Shadow Ball, E. Innate Talent, Fly, E. Innate Talent, Cross Poison, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Sludge Bomb, TM, Facade, TM, Taunt. Pokemon, Cizor. LV, 40. Type, Bug/Steel. Abilities, Technician. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Leer, Quick Attack, Focus Energy, Double Team, Feint, Fury Cutter, Wing Attack, Agility, Slash, Razor Wind, Iron Defense. Innate Talent, Roost, E. Innate Talent, Metal Claw, E. Innate Talent, Brick Break, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Thief, TM, Facade, TM, Giga Impact, TM, U-Turn, TM, Sandstorm, TM, Substitutes. Pokemon, Gardevoir. LV, 39. Type, Psychic/Fairy. Abilities, Telepathy. Gender, Female. Potential, Deep Gold. Moves: Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic, Imprison. Innate Talent, Disable, E. Innate Talent, Calm Mind, E. Innate Talent, Dazzling Gleam, E. TM, Protect, TM, Shadow Ball, TM, Will-O-Wisp, TM, Thunderbolt, TM, Thunder Wave, TM, Helping Hand. Pokemon, Ditto. LV, 37. Type, Normal. Abilities, Imposter, Hidden Ability. Gender, Genderless. Potential, Silver. Move, Innate Talent, Transform, E. Pokemon, Sheldon. LV, 34. Type, Rock/Steel. Abilities, Sturdy. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Protect, Tackle, Taunt, Metal Sound, Takedown, Iron Defense, Swagger, Ancient Power. Innate Talent, Rock Polish, E. Innate Talent, Sleep Talk, Innate Talent, Flamethrower, E. Pokemon, Combusken. LV, 25. Type, Fire/Fighting. Abilities, Speed Boost, Hidden Ability. Gender, Female. Potential, Gold. Moves: Growl, Scratch, Ember, Sand Attack, Peck, Double Kick, Flame Charge, Quick Attack. Innate Talent, Attract, Innate Talent, Sunny Day, E. Innate Talent, Overheat, E. Pokemon, Eevee. LV, 31. Type, Normal. Ability, Adaptability. Gender, Female. Potential, Shallow Gold. Moves: Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Quick Attack, Double Kick, Sand Attack, Bite, Swift, Takedown, Double Edge, Helping Hand. Innate Talent, Rest, innate talent, sleep talk, innate talent, work up, E. Alex, who finally got a Pokemon on the Elite, has finally become an Elite trainer. He even has 2 Pokemon on the Elite rank, which is impressive for his age. Crobat and Cizor, who are now on the Elite rank, are many times stronger than before. Alex saw what an improvement being Elite Pokemon brings and couldn't help but be joyous about the new strength that his Pokemon now occupied. Although Crobat and Cizor are leveling much more slowly now, it's not unusual in this world. As higher the level of a Pokemon is, the more difficult it is to level up. What Alex especially noticed in these 28 days is the leveling speed of his Pokemon. Ditto levels up a lot slower than Gardevoir. Even though they both were at level 35 at one point, Ditto has only leveled up 2 times while Gardevoir has leveled up 4 times. It seems that Ditto's potential is starting to slow down the speed of its leveling up, which was quite annoying for Alex. He hoped that he would find some good items for Ditto in the auction so that he can keep up with the rest of the Pokemon. Although it is probably ineffective, Alex does not want to give up on Ditto just because he wants to save a bit of money. And every day, he started to look at his TRH device to see if he had a new message from someone. Alex usually writes with 3 people: Stephen Stones, Professor Walter, and, of course, Maria. Professor Walter told Alex many things that he had never heard of, which made him grow more interested in chatting with Professor Walter a lot more than he had expected. The knowledge he has collected from Professor Walter in these almost 2 months can be useful later on. For example, he learned more about the legendary Pokemon. There are legendary Pokemon that reproduce with another Pokemon and thereby give birth to a half-blood legendary Pokemon. With legendary Pokemon, the DNA appears to be so strong that the Pokemon always takes over the species from the legendary Pokemon, even if the legendary Pokemon is a male. This is only the case with legendary Pokemon, which is really unique in this world. They are in a true sense alpha Pokemon. It also seems to be the case that some Pokemon species don't have a half-blood, or at least never have been found out yet. This shows that these species of legendary Pokemon have no interest in reproduction. Alex also talked a lot with Steven and exchanged a lot of interesting stories. Alex was even beginning to see Steven as almost a friend and not just a person he could use. Although he still doesn't really trust Steven, Steven is probably the closest thing Alex will have as a friend. At least for now. Maria was the person with whom Alex wrote the most and learned a lot. Like, for example, Pidgeot got the shallow gold after using the Lugia scale that Lisa gave her so that she could join the Lisa group. Alex, who saw the address of Professor Walter where the auction is located, knew that he had to leave the island today to make it there on time. The place where the Alliance auction will start was in Celadon City where Alex was last 2 months ago. Crobat, let's go, said Alex as he slowly started to fly away from the island. Chapter 133. Celadon City. Alex slowly got down from Crobat and looked at the people who were watching him with curious eyes. Crobat ignored the people and just looked at Alex with a questioning look. Alex, who is now an Alliance trainer and, more importantly, the trainer who won the Kanto Rookie Tournament, was a small celebrity in Kanto. Especially in Celadon City, where the last Kanto Rookie Tournament was held, he is very well known. Although the Kanto Rookie Tournament only shows rookie trainers, it is still a very popular tournament. The top contestants of this tournament are considered potential future gym leaders or even Elite Four members. When a rookie wins the tournament, it often shows that he has the talent to become as strong as gym leaders in the future. Erica and Brock are good examples to show that. Fortunately, there were no fans of Alex here, and Alex didn't have to answer any dumb questions or give autographs. He was glad that after 2 months, he can walk through the city again without being stopped every 2 seconds. Alex shook his head and slowly started walking to the hotel with Crobat. Although it wasn't dark yet, Alex wanted to book a room to stay in this city for the next few days. After 15 minutes of walking, Alex was standing in front of the hotel he stayed last time during the tournament. Although it was relatively expensive, Alex was very content with the hotel's services, so he decided to stay here again. Alex, who entered the hotel room, looked around and quickly went to the shower. When Alex entered the shower, he heard 6 Pokeballs open up by themselves. Alex heard and immediately ignored it. The Pokeballs of Alex's family members are never locked so that his Pokemon can come out independently at any time. Although there is a practical reason for doing this, easy to protect Alex, Alex does it not because of that reason, but to give his Pokemon as much freedom as possible. The only reason why Alex uses Pokeballs is that they are very convenient and can save the life of one of his Pokemon in an emergency. Alex sees and treats his Pokemon as his family. Although he is the head of the family, he tries to show each of his Pokemon enough respect, which is sometimes not that easy. Alex's Pokemon walked out of their Pokeball when they saw that Alex went to shower without a word. Crobat, who had come out, said with an annoyed expression, "What a lazy trainer." Cizor said with a smirk, "Oh, that fat bat doesn't want to move out of Pokeball himself? Welp, not a surprise. Do you need a nanny to take care of your needs, fat bat?" Crobat, who heard this, was immediately pissed off. UFCK. Whom are you calling fat, you idiot? I weigh almost exactly what an average Crobat would have. Yes, the focus should be given the word almost a. Gardevoir noticed that the two of them had started their bickering again and said, "Can you both calm down, please? I thought after almost 2 weeks without yelling that you would finally treat each other a little more respectfully." After that, she showed a sad expression as she said, "You are really making a bad example for Celadon and Combusken." Cizor and Crobat saw the sad expression of Gardevoir and immediately stopped arguing. Nobody wanted to make their little sister unhappy unnecessarily. The two began to pursue their hobby without saying a word. Although they continued to ignore each other, at least they stopped screaming. Gardevoir, who saw this, couldn't help but shake her head helplessly. Celadon, who heard the words of Gardevoir, made an expression like he had been wronged as he colored Gardevoir with a cute face. "Big sister Gardevoir, why do you speak like I'm still a child?" Combusken, who heard that, said excitedly, "I'm not a kid anymore. Look, I'm bigger than big brother Celadon." Celadon, which was much larger than the average Celadon at 0.7 meters, was still smaller than Combusken. Celadon, hearing the word from his little sister, said sadly, "That's not nice, little sister. You know that I will get bigger when I evolve." Gardevoir, who saw this cute expression, couldn't help but stroke Celadon's head when she said, "Don't worry, Celadon. You'll soon become a big and strong Bastiodon." Celadon looked excited with his gleaming innocent eyes as he asked, "Are you sure about this, big sister Gardevoir?" Gardevoir said with a kind and gentle smile, "Very sure." Combusken showed a jealous expression as she said aloud, "Big sister, what about me? When will I be a strong and cool Blaziken?" Gardevoir took her 2 hands and also started stroking Combusken's head and said, "Very soon. As long as you listen to our trainer, you will soon become much stronger." Ditto and Eevee, who saw this exchange, couldn't help but show a small smile. The innocence these 3 Pokemon have kept is really a specialty in Alex's group. In Alex's Pokemon group, only this group of 3 have never killed any other Pokemon. Ditto looked curiously in the direction of Eevee when he asked, "Do you want to play a round of chess?" Eevee gave a wondering look as she said, "What is chess?" Ditto, who finally saw his chance to get a win in chess, said with a smile, "I'll show you." After half an hour, Ditto was looking at the chessboard with a blank face. Eevee, who had just won, said with a bright smile, "You're right, it's really fun." Alex, who came out of the shower, had a quick look around before he said, "We have to sell the items today so that you can continue later." Ditto, who heard this, did not show an annoyed expression but a look of relief instead. Chapter 134. Alex came out of the hotel and immediately took a path to the Pokemon shopping center of Celadon City. The Celadon shopping center was built specifically to be able to fulfill every wish of trainers. Of course, the trainers should have the necessary amount of money for it. Although Alex can also sell the items at the Team Rocket Black Market, he can earn more money at the Celadon shopping center. Many valuable items are sold here for good prices every day, so it is the first choice for any trainer who wants to sell items. In addition, if he sells the items here, he can indirectly show the Alliance how he makes money. And since he may buy items for a lot of money in the auction, he should have a proper explanation to not become unnecessarily suspicious. Although the Alliance will likely think that he has the money from selling Pokemon, it's better to show the Alliance that he is a good guy and doesn't take advantage of the Alliance's gray areas too much. Alex was standing in front of the Celadon shopping center and couldn't help but be impressed by this stylish skyscraper. The sky blue glass walls looked illustrious with the unique shape of the building. It would be an impressive building even in Alex's world. In front of the building were two bodyguards, standing in black suits together with their Pokemon. Both of these Pokemon were elite Pokemon, which surprised Alex a bit. Although the two Pokemon were only at level 41 and 40, elite is still elite. Having elite trainers as door guards is really a luxury. Alex, who knows that only Alliance trainers could enter this building, took out his ID when he stepped in front of the two bodyguards. One of the two guards looked at Alex's ID and, after a few seconds, nodded and continued looking ahead again. Alex, who entered the building, saw a luxurious reception room with two beautiful women standing there. Together with the professional smile and the stylish suit, this reception room created a good atmosphere. "Welcome to the Celadon Shopping Center. What can we do for you, sir?" When Alex reached the reception table, one of the two women spoke without losing the professional smile. Although the two looked very good, Alex didn't feel any particular charm impressing him. He had the feeling that the two looked a lot worse than Maria. Alex said emotionlessly, "I want to sell some valuable items. The rough worth is several million." One of the women saw Alex's expression and said without changing face in a warm tone, "Sir, if it's above 1 million, you need to negotiate with the manager. I'll call him right away." "One moment, please." Alex simply nodded. He walked away so the next person in line could take his turn and sat down in a nice chair. Although this building is only accessible to trainers, more than one trainer comes every 3 minutes on average. Most Alliance trainers are between relatively to extremely rich. So you can just imagine the turnover of this shopping center. In only 3 minutes, a middle-aged man with brown hair and a black-colored classic suit arrived. With a relaxed face, he slowly moved in the direction of the two women. Alex got up after seeing the man looking in his direction. The man showed a small smile when he saw Alex and slowly walked towards Alex. "Welcome to the Celadon Shopping Center. I am the manager of Section 3, Jack." Jack stood in front of Alex and politely put his hand out. "Hi, I'm Alex. I want to sell some of my items here," said Alex as he shook hands with Jack. The smile on Jack's face grew a bit more, and he nodded his face as if he had confirmed something. "I thought you looked similar. You are Alex Stark, the winner of the Kanto Rookie Tournament. Pleased to meet you. I am glad to finally be able to talk to such a talented trainee." "Thanks, Jack. I'm also happy to finally be able to visit the Celadon Shopping Center. It really is a place that every trainer must visit." Jack, seeing the chance of having a future gym leader as a friend, gave Alex a friendly smile as he led him to his office. For Jack, Alex is a chance to make bigger deals in the future to earn more money. Alex, who followed Jack, already had a rough idea of what Jack was thinking and had no problem with it. If Alex builds a good relationship with Jack, it can be beneficial for both parties and not just for Jack. Alex will definitely get a discount and a chance to buy rare items here first. Win-win is an optimal relationship with long-term business partners for Alex. After Alex and Jack walked through various luxury rooms with several items and trainers looking around, he finally arrived in front of Jack's office. Jack opened the door and led Alex inside. The office was about the size of a small conference room. There was comfortable furniture, a minibar, and many exquisite paintings on the wall. Together with the glass wall showing the great view to the outside, this office was really splendid. Jack offered Alex a seat in front of his table as he sat down too. "Mr. Alex, I heard you wanted to sell some items here?" It's okay to call me Alex. Then please call me Jack, too. If you want to buy or sell items later, you can always ask directly. I will give you a discount. Alex, who heard this, gave a fake smile as he nodded. Then he started putting the items that he wanted to sell on the table. Items that Alex put on the table. 5 high moonstones. 15 mid-moonstones. 42 low moonstone, bag. 1 high water stones. 2 low water stone. 153 pearls, bag. Chapter 135. Jack showed a professional smile as he said, "You really have lots of valuable items." Alex, wait for a second. I'll give you a list for what prices these items are normally bought here. After saying that, he called a staff member who went out of the room and soon returned with a piece of paper with prices of items on it. When he gave the paper to Alex, Alex could see the following prices. Low moonstone, 9,500. Mid moonstones, 48,000. High moonstones, 350,000. Low water stone, 6,800. High water stones, 270,000. Pearls, 1,000 to 100,000, depends on the size and quality. Alex had already inquired about the prices of this store. So he knew that these prices were fair and the ones which are offered here every time. Of course, because you are my friend, I'll give you a VIP customer card with which you get 10% more. You can also use this card to order items online via our website for max 1 million $1 price. Alex, who heard this, gave a small smile. He understood that these prices were very generous. According to his calculations, Jack will only make about plus 5% after he sells the items. These prices can probably only be received by very few people, which makes Alex very happy. For months ago, he was a nobody who didn't even have enough money to become a trainer and was robbed by weak trainers. The feeling of having yourself work for this position only makes the satisfaction even stronger. Alex showed an emotionless expression. Why is the price of the pearls so imprecise? Jack, who was expecting this question, said, I can't do anything about it. Some pearls are many times more valuable than others. On average, a pearl is worth around 6,000 to 7,000. Only good or perfect pearls are worth more. Then, how is the quality of my pearls? Alex, who didn't trust Jack 100%, wanted to see how Jack answered this question. Jack started to look slowly at all of Alex's pearls with a lens without saying anything. After looking at a pearl, he gave each pearl a number between 1 and 10 on the piece of paper. Even if he only needed an average of 5 seconds per pearl, it took him more than 10 minutes to finish checking all pearls. Jack, looking at his piece of paper, said, Okay, I'm done checking the pearls. And I gotta say that you found a good batch of pearls. Lots of 8, 9, and even a few 10s. Alex heard this thought for a few seconds. He felt that Jack most likely wasn't completely lying to him and was probably just hiding a bit to have some profit. What price can you offer me for these pearls? Jack gave a small smile as he said, I'm going to give you a friendship award of 2,250,000 for all of these pearls. Believe me when I tell you that this is one of the best prices you can find. Jack, do you mind if I do a little test? You know, one of my Pokemon is very good at reading people's emotions. Jack, who thought for a moment, said, Oh, right. You have a Kirlia, a psychic-type Pokemon. Really a handy Pokemon to catch lies. Then he smiled and said with confidence, I don't mind if it makes you trust me. Gardevoir that has the ability to read emotions makes it a good Pokemon to reveal lies. Although Gardevoir is not a 100% lie detector, it is very often able to detect lies. Alex saw the confidence of Jack and knew that there is no point in doing it. Haha, just kidding. As your friend, I would never distrust your words, Jack. Hearing Alex's words, Jack felt that Alex would be a good businessman if he wasn't already such a talented Pokemon trainer. Alex said with a friendly smile, What price will you give me for all the items? Jack started pulling out a calculator and slowly calculated the value of Alex's items. After a few seconds, he said, 3,161,600 for all stones. Together with pearls, that makes 5,411,600. And because you have a VIP customer card, you get 10% more. That's precisely 5,952,760 poke dollars. Alex heard that he had earned almost 6 million poke dollars and grinned inside his mind. Although Alex was sure that he could get more in this deal more, he didn't want to worsen his relationship with Jack for a couple thousands of poke dollar. Greed is a deadly poison if you can't control it. Alex smiled and shook hands with Jack. He felt like he was really ridiculously rich now. Now he was feeling great anticipation for the items at the auction. As soon as Alex entered the hotel room, he opened all the Pokeballs and gave each of his Pokemon food. Eevee, who had finished her meal, looked in the direction of Ditto. "Hey, Ditto. Do you want to play a round of chess with me?" Ditto instantly felt an indescribable sadness. Why can't I win once? Wait a minute. Perhaps she was just lucky the first time? Yes, it was definitely just luck. I heard that beginners always have good luck. This time I will definitely win. Eevee, who saw Ditto's sudden boost of self-confidence, couldn't help but show a confused expression. She felt Ditto's immensely fluctuating emotions when she asked him to play. Ditto, who saw Eevee just looking at him and not going to the chessboard, became even more confident when he said, "What, are you afraid of losing?" Eevee, who would usually show a more aggressive expression when someone said those words to her, only showed an expression of sympathy. After only 5 minutes, Ditto finally understood why Eevee had this expression. He lost even faster this time. Eevee seemed to have gotten better than last time. Chapter 136. Alex, who still had to sell his captured Pokemon, opened his contacts and called Brand. After a few seconds, Brand's voice came out of the TRH device. "Alex? What's wrong?" "Brand, I have some valuable Pokemon that I want to sell." "Do you still work in the Team Rocket shop?" "Yeah, I do." "What kind of valuable Pokemon are we talking about?" "Lots of good A-talent Pokemon and an elite A-talent Golem with Earthquake on the expert rank." Brand, who heard this, couldn't help but inhale greed. An elite A-talent Pokemon with a strong expert move is extremely valuable. "Alex, are you sure that you made no mistake?" "Brand, you can check all Pokemon yourself if you don't believe it. Though the bill will be on you." No, my friend. I believe you. Tell me, what other Pokemon you caught?" Alex and Brand started talking to each other for an hour or so, negotiating the price. Alex, who now has a higher rank than Brand as Lisa's right hand, was able to gain the maximum price for the Pokemon. 1 Golem LV40, Earthquake, E, equals 455,000. 2 Phanpy under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 120,000, for all. 1 Phanpy under Elite, Good Innate Talent Move, equals 110,000. 3 Donphan under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 185,000, for all. 1 Donphan under Elite, Good Innate Talent Move, equals 115,000. 3 Onix under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 120,000, for all. 1 Onix under Elite, Good Innate Talent Move, equals 75,000. 2 Geodude under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 90,000, for all. 2 Gravelers under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 95,000, for all. 2 Gravelers under Elite, Good Innate Talent Move, equals 195,000, for all. 1 Graveler under Elite, Ability, Sandveil, equals 225,000. 1 Golem under Elite, Nothing Special, equals 50,000. In the end, Alex was able to sell the 20 silver Pokemon for 1,785,050 poke dollars. Alex started teleporting one Pokeball after another at a time using the TRH device. Then he activated the receive function of the TRH device so that Brand can send him the money. After a few seconds, Alex saw a black suitcase projected onto the table and appear in less than 1 second. Alex, who counted the money, realized that it was just the right amount and couldn't help but grin a little. After these 2 months of dangerous exploration and training, Alex has become very rich. Alex's current balance is 158,000 TR points. 7,991,810 Pokedollars. Alex, who briefly thought about buying a couple of TMs for his Pokemon, immediately threw this idea out of his mind. There was no point in buying them now. Since the auction was gonna start the next day, Alex didn't want to spend money for buying TMs and other items for now. He can still purchase these items after the auction. Ring ring. Alex took out his TRH device and looked at who was calling him. After seeing that it was Maria's number, he answered the call. Hey, Maria. What's going on? Alex, can you do me a favor? What kind of favor are we talking about? Alex usually has no problem helping Maria a little as long as there is a give-and-take relationship. He had the feeling that only such a relationship has a good chance of succeeding. Both he and Maria are talented trainers who in the future will become influential people. That's why he thinks that such a relationship is the healthiest one as long as they are not a couple. You're going to the Alliance auction tomorrow, right? Can you buy me a good poison-type item when you see it? Don't worry, I'll pay for it. Alex, who remembers that Maria has an Arbok, could understand why Maria was looking for such an item. No problem. Just tell me the price range, so I don't buy the item out of budget. I have 700,000 Pokedollars at my disposal. If you can find something where you think it can be useful for my Arbok, please buy it. No problem, Maria. Thank you, Alex. I owe you a favor. Hearing that Alex agreed to help her, Maria's tone became softer. For Alex, this answer from Maria was very satisfactory. He didn't feel that Maria was putting him under any emotional pressure or trying to take advantage of him. Alex gave a satisfied smile which she wasn't able to see. No problem. Maria and Alex talked for about 15 minutes before hanging up. Alex suddenly noticed that 700,000 Pokedollars had been transferred to his account by Maria. Alex felt Maria's trust in him by this action and showed a pleasing smile. For him, the actions of Maria were much more important than the money. Alex saw that the sun was about to set down, and the curtain of darkness was slowly spreading over the sky. He couldn't help but look forward to tomorrow's auction. In his imagination, he saw many valuable items that can be very helpful to his Pokemon. He had no real interest in the gold, as talent, Pokemon being auctioned because he thinks they are way too overpriced. 5 million for an inferior gold Pokemon really isn't a fair price for Alex. Maybe for others, but not for Alex, who has the system. Alex saw that Bran had sent him a picture and couldn't help but laugh out loudly after looking at it. In the picture that Bran had sent Alex, Lars was seen walking out of Lisa's office with a blue eye and several scratches on his face. Together with that, his face was apparently wet. An interesting story was told from this one picture. And the text from Brand, "How long do you think this young dog can take it?" didn't make it easier for Alex to stop his laughter. He could see that karma was slowly biting the arrogant ass of Lars. Alex, who had a good day, went to sleep with a smile on his face. Chapter 137. A young man in a black tuxedo was slowly walking on the streets of Celadon City. After 10 minutes, the young man came in front of a building that looked like a high-grade theater. Professor Walter looked at the young man and slowly walked towards him. Behind the old man were Misty and Junichi, who followed after him. "Alex, there you are. You are almost too late." "I'm sorry, Professor, I had a problem getting dressed up." Professor Walter started laughing. "Haha, I can understand that. I always liked cozy clothes more." Alex, who saw how Professor Walter was wearing his usual clothes, knew that he wasn't lying. Misty and Junichi also greeted Alex, but with an almost expressionless face, though you could find a hint of embarrassment on their faces. So Alex was sure that the two of them didn't really like him. Not that it was any hard to figure out why. Alex ignored the embarrassed faces as he greeted them with a smile. Since he is a sore loser himself, he can understand the thoughts of both of them. The professor, who noticed that the atmosphere was getting strange, spoke loudly, "Okay. We better not waste any more time and go in quickly. We are already very late." The three of them started following the professor as he led them through the grand entrance. While walking, Alex asked, "Professor, what kind of auction is this? I couldn't find any information about this auction." "Well, that's normal. Only 50 people can take part in this auction each time, so only the most influential people from Kanto get an invitation." Alex thought for a moment and then asked, "Professor, if it's so difficult to be able to participate in this auction, why can we participate here?" Professor Walder showed a serious expression when he said, "This is a complicated topic. But let me make it quick and easy. To roughly speak, the Alliance puts great importance on the most talented trainer rookies of the year." Junichi, who had been listening so far, couldn't help but ask, "Professor, can you tell us why we are so important in the Alliance?" Professor Walder showed a thoughtful expression when he said, "Okay, it's not like I'm not allowed to talk about it. Although the Alliance looks very peaceful outside, it is not like that in reality. The Alliance is divided into 7 parts. Kanto Alliance, Johto Alliance, and so on. Each of these alliance branches competes peacefully with one another." Professor waited for a short time before continuing. "In the normal case, in this peaceful competition, they compare the Elite Four and the champion, who represents their respective regions. I think you should now understand a little better why the whole alliance of each region values their talented trainers so much." Junichi and Alex both looked slightly surprised as they thought more about the alliance. In comparison, Misty showed no surprise as it looked like she already knew this information. Professor Walder and the 3 young trainers came in front of the auction hall entrance. In front of the entrance, there were several bodyguards together with their powerful elite Pokémon. With such a large number of securities, it was almost impossible to defeat these trainers in a short time. Professor Walder showed some papers, and the bodyguard began to look through them carefully. After the bodyguard confirmed that the papers were correct, he pulled a suitcase from a Pokédex and immediately gave to the professor. Professor Walder took the suitcase and began to lead Alex, Misty, and Junichi into the building. The place was reminiscent of a large opera house. There were grandstands filled with hundreds of seats divided into 5 levels. Each of these levels had 10 separate boxes, and there were 10 seats per box. Also, there were 3 chandeliers decorated with various jewels, hundreds of lights, with small figures of singing boys and dancing girls. All of these things together created a classical atmosphere. Now the auction was waiting for the last guests to arrive before starting. Professor Walder, Misty, Junichi, and Alex went into the box with the number 50. Alex noticed 6 boxes located on the 5th floor of the hall. In the first 4 boxes, there was a gym leader sitting inside. And you could find an Elite Four member sitting in the last 2 boxes. Brock, Sabrina, Erica, and Lieutenant Surge were the gym leaders Alex saw. Together with Lance and Bruno, this building was full of strong trainers. "Professor Walder, why are only half of the Elite Four and gym leaders here when this is such an important event? Don't the others want these valuable items too?" "Haha. Alex, that's not how it is. It's a rule that no more than half of the Elite Four and the gym manager can participate in an event." Alex asked the next moment, "For security reasons?" Professor smiled brightly, seeing that Alex could guess the reason instantly. "Yes, you're right. I don't have to explain why it's such a bad idea to keep all your strongest trainer in one place for a long time, right?" Misty, Alex, and Junichi understood without explaining why that was the case. After a minute, lights started to gather on the stage. Soon a woman in a beautiful red dress appeared from backstage. "Dear guests, thank you for waiting. My name is Klee, and I am your host for today's auction." Klee is the daughter of the owner of the biggest Pokemon items industry chain in Kanto. And therefore, she is a very influential person in the Alliance. Because of her position and her beautiful face, she was chosen for this event. Many of you have already attended this event, but I will formally say it again. This is a place where you can buy the most valuable and rare items. A festival held once per year for you and your Pokemon to get your heart's most desired item. Now, let me introduce the first auction product of this year. At the same time, nearly a dozen beautiful women emerged from the right side of the stage. They were moving a huge wheeled cage with a Pokemon inside it. We had a lot of worries. What would be best to start the auction? There are 100 products, but what is the most outstanding starter other than this? She started speaking out loud as the Pokemon became visible to all participants. A pseudo-legendary Pokemon with a talent of rank S. Alex, who saw this Pokemon, couldn't help but inhale a deep breath full of greed. Pokemon, Dratini. LV, 11. Type, Dragon. Abilities, Shed Skin. Gender, Male. Potential, Shallow Gold. Moves: Leer, Wrap, Thunder Wave, Twister. Innate Talent, Slam, Innate Talent, Dragon Rage, Innate Talent, Blizzard. Chapter 138. Although Alex was slightly disappointed that Dratini was only a shallow gold Pokemon, he had to admit that the being a Dratini species increased its value many times over. Dragonite species with a base stats of 600 is many times better than most Pokemon. Maybe only a legendary Pokemon or another pseudo-legendary Pokemon has similarly impressive base stats. Professor Walter noticed that bidding would start soon and opened the suitcase that the bodyguard had given him and revealed 3 mobile phone-like devices. He gave each 3 one of these devices. This is the device with which you can participate in this auction. Hold the red button and say your bid to be able to participate in the auction. The other participants and the staff will know who is the one to bid. So it is sufficient to only say your bid. Alex saw that his device number was 48, Misty 49, and Junichi 50. He had the feeling that this number was not randomly distributed. Professor Walter went on to say, in addition, this auction has one special rule that you should know for the future. Any participant cannot bid anymore on other items after using more than 25 million Pokedollars in this auction. Alex, who heard the strange rule, couldn't help but ask, does that mean that a participant can bid for one item as much as he wants? Junichi, who heard this, showed a confused expression. He didn't understand why Alex suddenly asked this question. He thought, the professor has just explained that you can't bid further after you exceeded 25 million Pokedollars. What a stupid question. Professor Walter, who heard Alex's question, gave a bright smile when he said, as expected from you, Alex. You notice that this rule only comes into effect after the bidding for one item is over. Alex, who now understood this rule completely, couldn't help but admire the person who came up with this rule. He noticed that this rule combines 2 important goals at once. First of all, it was to distribute the valuable items and Pokemon relatively fair among the most influential people in Kanto and to win a lot of money at the same time without giving too great of an advantage to the rich. Alex looked at the Dratini on the stage with boredom. He felt as if he knew which participant would get this Pokemon. Klee began to speak loudly into the microphone with a smile. Now, the auction will start with the starting price of 20 million Pokedollars. I assure you that this Dratini will definitely have a place in your strongest team if trained properly. I'm not disparaging the abilities of any of my guests. This Dratini is outstanding even amongst its own species. If you want him, then bid without any hesitation. Lance didn't wait any longer and started off the bidding. 25 million. Alex saw the Lance bid for this Pokemon didn't give a surprised expression. He already thought that Lance would want this Pokemon indefinitely. 40 million. It looks like Lieutenant Surge also wants this excellent Pokemon. Alex, who heard this comment from Klee, had the feeling that only a person in a high position would get away with such a commentary. 75 million. Lance. 80 million. Box number 34. 100 million. Lance. 100 million bid from Lance of the Elite Four. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? 100 million going once, going twice, and sold. With no participants bidding further ahead, Lance was able to successfully acquire this Dratini. Although he can't bid for any other items, Lance joyfully smiled as he got this Pokemon. After he successfully got Dratini, Lance immediately went out of box number 1 and made his way to the back office to get his Pokemon. Alex, who saw this, could understand why Lance had no interest in seeing what he gave up for this Pokemon. He felt that it is probably some kind of torture when you find another item or Pokemon that you want but cannot get. After a few seconds, Klee began to present the second item of the actions. The following item is called Bug Gem. It has been recently produced by a well-known Bug-type professor. It is strongly recommended for all Bug-type Pokemon trainers to take a closer look at this item. This item increases the lifespan of a Bug-type Pokemon by an average of 1 year. The starting price of this item is 100,000 Pokedollars. Alex, who heard how a well-known Bug-type professor created this item, couldn't help but look in the direction of Professor Walter. Professor Walter, who saw Alex's questioning look, only showed a slight smile. Alex, who saw this reaction, knew that Professor Walter didn't want to say anything and stopped looking at the professor. Although this item is useful, my Cizor is still very young. And he is from one of the Bug-type Pokemon species that live longer, thought Alex when he considered whether he should bid for this item or not. 500,000, box number 23. 2 million. Lieutenant Surge, box number 4. Alex, who heard Lieutenant Surge bid so much for this item, couldn't help but think how strange it was. Lieutenant Surge bid for an item that can increase the lifespan of Bug-type Pokemon. But he doesn't have a Bug-type Pokemon. I don't think Lieutenant Surge has a Pokemon to use it for, so it means he bought it for someone else. If I remember it right, Giovanni's starter Pokemon is a Beedrill, thought Alex. 2.5 million. Box number 36. After a few bids, the price was raised to 5 million. 5 million going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Lieutenant Surge on the successful purchase. Chapter 139. After 1 hour, more than a third of the items and Pokemon were successfully auctioned. Alex saw many different items and Pokemon but had not made a bid on an item yet. The items were either too expensive for Alex or just not useful for him. Unlike Alex, Misty successfully bought a top water stone for 5 million. Like gold Pokemon, top-grade stones are relatively rare and cannot always be purchased. And purchasing a water stone as a water-type Pokemon trainer seems like the most rational thing Misty could do. Alex, who saw top water stone being sold for 5 million, couldn't help but grin, thinking about the money he will receive for his 2 top moonstones. He realized now how lucky he was to be able to find 2 of these rare stones. While thinking, Alex looked at the next item that was going to be auctioned. A diamond? Alex saw how even jewelry could be sold here and couldn't hide his disappointment. In the end, the big diamond was sold to a businessman in box number 23 for 3 million. While waiting, Alex started observing other participants' boxes closely. He noticed that a member of the Jenny clan was sitting inside box number 8. There was also a professor whom Alex did not recognize in box number 7. Alex saw that those two's box numbers were only lower than the gym leaders and the Elite Four members. You can discern from this that professors and the Jenny clan have a very high place in the alliance. The Joy clan must also have a high value. And they are probably not here because they are not interested in fighting, thought Alex as he watched other participants. When Klee presented the next item, Alex showed an attentive face. The next item is a must-have for all Poison-type trainers. It's a Poison Gland and the heart of a mid-elite Arbok with the talent of A rank. The starting bid is 100,000 Pokedollars. Alex noticed that the gym leaders and Elite Four members were not showing any interest when they saw this item. They probably want to give better items to their Pokemon. Alex read in a book that the more items a Pokemon absorbs, the less effective the next item would become. Although this decrease is minimal, it becomes noticeable when numerous mediocre items are given to the Pokemon. Together with the fact that their Pokemon is better than the items from Arbok makes it very unlikely that this item would be useful for their Pokemon. This item is only useful for poison-type Pokemon under the elite ranks. 100,000, box number 44. 200,000, box number 42. 500,000, Alex, box number 48. Alex didn't want to start slowly increase the price. He immediately made it clear that he wanted this item and that the others should give up immediately. With no other showing an interest in the item, Alex successfully acquired these two items. Alex smiled when he was able to buy the most perfect item for Maria. He had the feeling that these items are optimal for Maria's Arbok and that it is possible to improve the potential of these Pokemon unless it need a big push. Professor Walter, who saw Alex had bought this item, couldn't help but ask, "Alex, why are you buying these items? Didn't you tell me that your Crobat is already on the elite rank? I think this item is not really effective for your Crobat. Maybe if it were a heart of a Crobat, I could understand it a bit. But this..." Alex showed a smile when he replied, "Professor, I know. This item is for a friend of mine." Although he didn't say anything further, he didn't want to appear too cold to the professor, who was very friendly to him. Auction item number 46. When Alex saw this item, his eyes glinted due to his strong interest. The next item is 5 Staraptor feathers, each of which was reinforced with flying-type energy for a week. The special thing is that the Staraptor was not a normal Pokemon but a champion-level Staraptor with the S-rank talent. The starting bid is 500,000 Pokedollar. Alex looked greedily at these items. Although he doesn't think these items are enough to bring Crobat's potential to deep gold, it would certainly make it easier for Crobat in the future. 500,000 Pokedollar. Misty box number 49. Alex, who saw that Misty also wants this item, showed an annoyed expression. 2 million. Alex box number 48. Misty looked at Alex with her annoyed face and tone. "Hey, what are you doing? You can't beat me. You'd better stop." Alex, who heard this, felt that she was looking down on him and was thinking that he had no money. He looked coldly and said with an arrogant tone, "That wouldn't be the first time that I beat you, would it?" Misty, who heard this, stood up and showed a notably sore expression. "Humph! Do you think that your lucky victory means something to me? I would beat you to the ground now if we were to fight again." Alex, who was very proud of his tournament victory, immediately got angry. "Oh really? Let's test your big mouth after the auction. I'll show you your place." "Okay, sounds good. I'm also in favor of betting if you're not too afraid of losing. The winner gets this item. We both pay half-half, and the winner gets the item." Alex, who heard this, became calm and thought if he was sure that he could win. Although he is much stronger than before, he is at his best when he has enough time to study his opponent to come up with a plan. He's not especially good at sudden fights. Although he already fought Misty, it was almost 2 months ago. He has the feeling that Misty has also gotten a lot stronger and has probably learned a few tricks. But that doesn't mean he can back out now. Especially when the consequences aren't that big. Sure. Stop bidding then. I'll buy the item for us cheaply." Although Alex had hoped to buy it cheap, the other participants didn't allow it to happen. Thus, Alex got the item for the bid of 4 million. Fortunately, he only has to pay 2 million if he can defeat Misty again. He just hopes that he won't lose and ends up giving the arrogant Misty 2 million. Chapter 140. A couple of beautiful women brought the next item and removed the cover. Seeing the item being revealed, Klee started presenting it to the participants of the auction. The next auction item is the well-known 8 vitamins. Each of these vitamins can improve the basic stats of your Pokemon, thus useful for every trainer. The starting bid is only 100,000 Pokedollars. Alex already knew about 8 vitamins from reading a book about this world. Although this item can really improve the basic stats of a Pokemon, they have a substantial disadvantage in this world. After a Pokemon eats a vitamin, the effect for the next vitamin item will be halved. For example, a Pokemon that has never eaten a vitamin item gains 100% of the effect. But a Pokemon that has already eaten 2 vitamin items only gets 25% of the intended result. So the order of the vitamin can make a big difference. Simply said, the effect is worse the more vitamin a Pokemon has eaten. Alex saw how none of the gym leaders and Elite Four showed any interest and immediately understood that each of these trainers has already given his Pokemon vitamins several times. 100,000, Junichi, box number 50. 200,000, box number 23. 500,000, Alex, box number 48. 600,000, Junichi, box number 50. Alex, who remarked that this item is interesting for a few people here, showed an annoyed expression. Expressly when the Junichi raised the price a little unnecessarily. Although the vitamin items are difficult to make, they are not ridiculously rare. And one can be purchased between 50,000 and 100,000 when available. Unfortunately, Alex doesn't know anyone who makes this item, so he can only wait if he doesn't buy it now. Although Jack might know someone, Alex can't be sure. 650,000, Alex, box number 48. Junichi, who heard this price, thought for a few seconds and stopped bidding. He had the feeling that this item was not worth the price of 700,000. 750,000, Misty, box number 49. Alex, who thought that he had got this item successfully, was disgruntled when he heard this bid. He looked at Misty, who gave him a radiant smirk, and suppressed the feeling of insulting Misty. Alex didn't want to show Misty how annoyed he was with her actions. He had the feeling that she only bid to annoy him and not because she really wants this item. 800,000, Alex, box number 48. Misty, who was successful in getting under Alex's skin, gave a small grin when she said, I still have more than 15 million. Should I go on or not? What do you think, Alex? Alex's face twitched for a second. Ah, how nice for you. You must be really proud to be able to throw away the money of your family. It must be good to have this much free money. But too bad that you weren't able to buy a brain, or should I say chest. Misty's face swelled for a second before calming down. After that, she started ignoring Alex. In the end, Alex was able to successfully purchase the 8 vitamins for 800,000 Poke Dollars. Klee, who started to present the next auction item, showed an excited face. We have prepared something very special as the 50th auction item. Alex and many other trainers grew interested after hearing her words. Klee signaled her assistants to show the item. In a small glass box on a rolling table, there was a small round red ball made of glass with an orange circle in it. As many of you can see, the next auction item is the famous hold item, the Life Orb. The Life Orb amplifies every attack from a Pokemon in exchange for a little damage to the holder. In the right hands, this item can save you and your Pokemon's lives when you are exposed to an enemy stronger than you. The starting bid of this great item is 15 million. Alex, who heard the starting price, immediately lost interest. He had the feeling that this item is useful only when your Pokemon are on the champion rank. And it will take a really long time to get that strong. And also rich enough to buy it. 15 million. Bruno, box number 2. 20 million. Lieutenant Surge, box number 4. Klee charmingly smiled when she said out loud, it looks like 2 powerful trainers are really interested in this wonderful item. 25 million. Bruno, box number 2. 30 million. Lieutenant Surge, box number 4. In the end, this item was sold to Bruno for 70 million, who then promptly left the hall just like Lance. Alex looked wordlessly at the next couple of auction items that didn't really interest him. But at item number 59, Alex's eyes showed slight interest. As the next auction item, we have a Cranidos with the S rank. It is only a few days old and has a lot of potentials to be drawn from. The starting bid is 5 million. Alex, who heard the price from these Cranidos, couldn't help but shook his head with disappointment. This Pokemon was really good. Just that it was not meant to be his. Pokemon, Cranidos. LV, 5. Type, Rock. Abilities, sheer force, hidden ability. Gender, male. Potential, gold. Move, headbutt, leer. Innate talent, earthquake, innate talent, sandstorm, innate talent, thief. He felt a bit too poor for the auction where several $1 million are thrown for the items or Pokemon. Gold Pokemon earns a good amount of money, Alex thought when he saw how much this Pokemon was being sold. 45 million going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Brock on the successful purchase. After successfully winning the auction, Brock walked out of the hall like the two members of the Elite Four. Chapter 141. The next item, number 60, that we are presenting is Everstone. And not one, not two, but a total of 5 Everstones. And since we understand that most people only need one Everstone, the next 5 Everstones will be sold separately. The starting price is only 50,000 Pokedollars. Alex, who has heard of the Everstones, knows that these stones are relatively rare and unpopular with trainers. Thus most of them are not sold for a lot of money. Or at least not if you factor in their rarity. Everstone is really not a good item if you don't know how to use it. But for me, who can see the talent of my Pokemon accurately, this item is perfect. I can have Combusken carry this Everstone and try to improve the potential of Combusken with items to the Deep Gold rank. After that, I can increase her potential with the help of the evolution to the Shallow Diamond rank. For other trainers, it is almost impossible to know the talent of a Pokemon as accurately as Alex can. Thus Everstone is not much of a use to them. They can know that a Pokemon is on the S rank. But unlike Alex, they don't know whether a Pokemon is Shallow Gold, Gold, or Deep Gold. Which makes it almost impossible for these trainers to know how long their Pokemon has to hold the Everstone. Alex doesn't bid on first Everstone and second Everstone. He thought that the price is probably best at 3 or 4 Everstone. The 5 is the last chance to get one, so Alex thought that this Everstone would probably not be cheap to win the bid. Alex saw the first Everstone sell for 450,000 and the second for 400,000 Pokedollars. 50,000, box number 43. 100,000, Alex, box number 48. 200,000, box number 43. 350,000, box number 29. 400,000, box number 43. 450,000, box number 29. Alex, who saw how the price increased for the third, showed an annoyed expression. He had the feeling that it wasn't really logical why the third one was sold for more. In the end, the third Everstone was sold to a trainer in box number 29 for 450,000 Pokedollars. 50,000, box number 43. 100,000, box number 33. Alex, who saw another fellow bidder, made a solemn face. 3 people wanting 2 items is really not an optimal situation. He can only hope that one of them doesn't necessarily need this Everstone seriously. 450,000, Alex, box number 48. 450,000 going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Alex on the successful purchase. Alex, who didn't want to take any chances, immediately offered 450,000 to scare the other 2 away. Fortunately, it worked, and he was able to get the item. Let's get to the last Everstone. If you want it, don't miss it. The starting bid is 50,000. After a few bids, the last Everstone was sold for 400,000 Pokedollars. Alex wanted to give himself a facepalm for his inability. Although he didn't buy it for too much money, he was slightly disappointed that he didn't find the optimal bid. The biggest problem for him was that he wasn't sure if that was a lucky bid or if it happens all the time. He couldn't believe that out of 5 identical items, the second and fifth had the best price. Fifth seems too dangerous. Second seems like the best option to bid. While Alex was thinking about these possibilities, the auction went on. Many good but not really useful items were offered that Alex ignored. But when auction item number 76 was presented, Alex showed his interest. Klee introduced the next item to the auction participants. Next, we have the whole, steel, from a dead high elite fortress of the S rank. We have divided the steel into 10 steel pieces so that it is easier to give the optimal amount to your Pokemon. Although we don't have the heart, the steel is very helpful for any steel-type Pokemon. The starting bid is 500,000 Pokedollars. Alex, who has 2 steel-type Pokemon, knew that he had to bid this time. 500,000, box number 24. 2 million. Alex, box number 48. Alex, who was willing to pay 4 million Pokedollars for this item, was not afraid to increase the price a lot. 2.5 million. Box number 13. 3 million. Alex, box number 48. 3 million going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Mr. Stark on the successful purchase. Alex, who had already spent 6,250,000 Pokedollars, only had 1,741,810 left. Without the total price for the feathers. So much for being rich, thought Alex as he used his hard-earned money. Alex looked in silence at the rest of the auction items. Even if a few items were really good, he could no longer afford them. For example, there was a heart from a champion Gothitelle on the S rank that Alex would have liked to buy. Unfortunately, he didn't have 6 million to bid. Alex was a bit sad after this item and looked at the next item with his suppressed emotion. Klee said with a professional smile, the next item is the heart of a high elite Ursaring on the A rank. The starting bid is 100,000 Pokedollars. Alex, who heard this, immediately thought of Ditto. Although Eevee is also a normal-type Pokemon, the effect is weakened because Eevee already has a higher potential than the mentioned Ursaring. 100,000, Alex, box number 48. 500,000, box number 33. Alex, who swallowed his own medicine, showed a vexed expression when he heard that. Although he wanted to stop bidding, he knew that Ditto needed this item very much. 550,000, Alex, box number 48. 600,000, box number 33. 650,000, Alex, box number 48. In the end, Alex was able to buy the item, even if it was a bit overpriced. 650,000 going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Mr. Stark on the successful purchase. Alex knew that this would probably be the last item that he would be buying for this auction. So he started thinking about the best way to beat Misty so that his 2 million doesn't go to waste. For Alex, 2 million is a lot to lose just like that. Chapter 142. During the rest of the auction, Alex found no items that he could afford or was interested in, so he just watched silently. He saw another gold Pokemon being sold that he was interested in but didn't have enough money to bid. Pokemon, Lapras. LV, 16. Type, Water/Ice. Abilities, Hydration, Hidden Ability. Gender, Female. Potential, Gold. Moves: Growl, Sing, Water Gun, Mist, Confuse Ray, Ice Shard, Water Pulse. Innate Talent, Hail, Innate Talent, Ice Beam, Innate Talent, Whirlpool. Alex would have liked to have this gold Lapras, but he didn't have enough money to bid for it. He could only look silently at how Misty bought this precious Pokemon. He noticed that he was one of the poorest people in this auction and that more than 80% of the participants spent more than 25 million in this auction. Even Misty spent 35 million only for the Lapras of S rank. As Alex looked at a few more items and saw Pokemon that he couldn't afford, the auction came to an end shortly. He went backstage with Professor Walder, Misty, and Junichi, where one can pick up his items. Unfortunately, he had to wait for his turn when he arrived because other participants had already arrived. When it was Alex's turn, he put the exact amount of money into a money counting machine and waited for the staff to bring him his item. After less than a minute, the staff gave Alex the auction items he had purchased. Items bought by Alex: 8 vitamins, Everstone, Poison Gland and the heart of a mid-elite Arbok of A rank. Heart of a high elite Ursaring on the A rank. 5 Staraptor feathers of a champion-level Staraptor on the S rank, each reinforced with flying-type energy for a week. Whole steel from a dead high elite fortress of the S rank. Divided into 10 steel pieces. After putting the items in his TRH device, he waited for Misty to pick up all of her items. In this world, Pokédex may look similar to mobile. Of course, not all Pokédex look like that, and you can find Pokédex similar looking to the one in the anime. But one wouldn't necessarily know that the TRH device is not a Pokédex unless inspected closely. That is why Alex used it to store items without any care in front of everyone. Junichi, who picked up his own item, said goodbye to the group and set off on his own. He had no interest in watching the fight between Misty and Alex. Professor Walder, on the other hand, was very interested in this fight. He was excited to see who would win in this rematch. Misty picked up her Pokémon and items and went towards Alex, who was waiting for her. "We can go now. I hope you're ready to lose," Misty said with a confident expression. Alex just answered slightly, "Humph, good luck. You will need it. Though it won't help you much." Misty saw that she was being underestimated and showed a torn expression. She felt that Alex had no reason to be arrogant just because he defeated her. 2 months ago, she had been a trainer for only 6 months. So she probably had a lot less training time than Alex, who is older than her. She knows that Alex is more than 1 year, 1.5 years, older than she was and therefore probably had more time to train his Pokémon than her. Misty thinks that Alex is not a trainer good at Pokémon training and is only good at tactics. Alex, feeling the confidence of Misty, had a strange feeling. He wasn't sure why Misty was so sure she could beat him. Misty and Alex looked for a large open area outside the city where they could fight in peace. "Okay, let's first agree on the rules. I am in favor of us using the rules of the Kanto Rookie Tournament and having 3v/S3 Pokémon fights." Alex, who now has 2 elite Pokémon and a LV39 Deep Gold Gardevoir, wanted to fight 3v/S3, of course. He had the feeling that with this format, he had the highest chance of winning. Misty, who heard that, said with an arrogant expression, "Do you think I don't know that you want to choose the format that is best for you? Ha! Both can play that game. I want to fight in a 1v/S1 format." Alex said with an indifferent expression, "Why do you want to change the rules that we use in the finale? I don't think it's very fair." Misty started to speak with an angry expression. "Fair? Did you just say fair? Was our last fight fair? Shameless people like you shouldn't talk to me about fairness." Alex said calmly, "I didn't break the rules in the last fight. You shouldn't blame others for your loss. You yourself are responsible for your defeat. Shut up, you 2-class trainer. What other qualities do you have other than using dirty tactics? Even your face is 3rd class." Alex heard Misty even belittling his handsome face, started boiling up. "You wouldn't bored. You shouldn't talk about the look of other people. You're as sexy as an elementary school student and should shut up. I'm still growing, you bastard. Dare to say something like that again, and I'll ram my fist onto your face and bury you in the ground." Professor Walder, who noticed that the situation was getting out of control, said, "Please, calm down both of you. You are adult members of the Alliance now, and you should behave like that. In this world, Pokémon trainers are listed as adults, no matter how old they are. As a Pokémon trainer, you have to be ready to die every day. So that every Pokémon trainer is obviously perceived as an adult by the community." Misty and Alex calmed down a bit and continued to discuss the rules. Both Alex and Misty didn't want to change their desired format, so the discussion came to a standstill. But when Professor Walder said that the two should fight 2v/S2, no one refused. In the end, Alex and Misty ended up fighting in a 2v/S2 format with the rules of the Kanto Rookie Tournament. Chapter 143. Alex, who was already thinking about his strategy, showed a confident smile when he pulled out his Pokeball. Professor Walder was acting as a referee and gave both of them the signal to get their Pokémon out at the same time. A Crobat and a Golduck appeared on the battlefield simultaneously. Pokemon, Golduck. LV, 43. Type, Water. Abilities, Damp. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Scratch, Tail Whip, Water Gun, Confusion, Fury Swipes, Disable, Psybeam, Screech, Surf. Innate Talent, Psychic, E. Innate Talent, Iron Tail, E. Innate Talent, Headbutt, E. TM, Protect, TM, Light Screen, TM, Rain Dance, E. TM, Whirlpool, TM, Hyper Beam, TM, Blizzard, TM, Calm Mind, TM, Toxic. Alex, who saw the increase of 4 levels and the expert rank of Rain Dance, immediately turned serious. If Misty makes the best use of this move, Crobat will have a big problem. Misty noticed the Crobat was an elite Pokemon and showed a solemn expression. She was very surprised that Alex's LV-35 Crobat got so strong after less than 2 months. Misty knows from experience how long it takes to train a LV-35 Pokemon on the expert rank. It even took her almost 3 months, even though she is very talented in Pokemon training. She suddenly felt that it was going to be a tough fight. Professor Walter, who saw that they were both ready, immediately gave the signal to start the fight. 3, 2, 1, fight! Alex, who told Crobat before the fight to use Toxic if he didn't say anything, showed a calm expression when the fight started. He was of course not so stupid to use the same strategy as last time. He doesn't think that Misty, who later becomes a gym leader, is so stupid that she'll fall for the same trick twice. Misty didn't say anything either and showed a smile. She learned a lot from the last fight. That's why Misty had told Golduck before the fight that he should use Rain Dance immediately at the start. Although it is risky, she does not want to give Alex an advantage just because she is afraid of the potential risk of this tactic. Alex showed a slightly surprised expression when Misty said nothing and just smiled at him. Just like Crobat, Golduck also started preparing a move, and Alex understood what Misty was doing. Even though he realized it, it was now too late to change his tactics. Golduck, whose move was on the expert rank, was quicker, and giant clouds began to appear in the sky over the battlefield. After less than 1 second, it started to rain heavily over the whole battlefield. Alex, who saw this high range, noticed that it was much bigger and stronger than the Rain Dance on the normal rank. Crobat, who finished shortly after, started launching a Toxic to Golduck. Misty, who saw this well-known move, didn't show a nervous expression when she said, "Protect," and then Blizzard. Golduck successfully blocked his move and started preparing for the next move. Alex, who heard Misty's move, suddenly felt a bit nervous. Misty was a lot more experienced than before and even had a hidden combo that she can use to win if Alex doesn't react quickly. Misty's strategy gave her several advantages. 1. Golduck's water-type moves deal more damage. 2. Crobat will have a difficult time flying due to the rain. 3. If Crobat is hit by an ice-type move while being wet, he will suffer extreme frost bites and will likely be unable to fly effectively afterward. The last advantage, in particular, was very dangerous for Alex if he didn't immediately notice this early. Alex immediately said, "Crobat, quickly fly to the edge of the arena and try to avoid the move Blizzard. But if you notice that you can't avoid it, use Protect quickly." Crobat immediately began to fly away quickly, building a large gap between the two. After Crobat is 30 meters away, Golduck launched his move Blizzard. Crobat tried to evade while flying away but soon knew that he won't be able to dodge everything so quickly, so he used Protect. After using Protect, he immediately flew to the edge of the battlefield. Misty noticed that the Crobat was flying further and further away, was still not at the edge of the arena yet. She suddenly felt that the battlefield was too big. Wait, is the battlefield 20% bigger than in the tournament? Ah! This bastard set me up. He drew my attention to the format so that I wouldn't notice that the area was a bit bigger. Although 20% doesn't seem like much, the difference is big for quick Pokemon like Crobat, who can take better advantage of their speed. Misty noticed that it wasn't time to get upset, so she thought about her next move. Golduck, use Calm Mind. Misty's next strategy is to reinforce Golduck, so she only needs 1 or 2 hits from Psychic to beat Crobat. Psychic, who has a good range on the expert rank and is almost inevitable, is the optimal move to defeat Crobat in this large area. Together with that, she will have her Pokemon buffed up for the next fight. Misty's strategy was many times better than last time. Alex, who immediately understood Misty's plan, showed a solemn expression. He felt that Misty would make a really good gym leader. Crobat, use Swift as long as she is boosting her Pokemon. Crobat, who is now on the elite rank, can do a lot of damage. So Misty's Golduck can't take many attacks. Golduck, who successfully used Calm Mind once, was hit by Crobat's Swift and suffered a bit of damage. Misty, who noticed that she can't use Calm Mind too often, said, Golduck, run towards Crobat and use Psychic when Crobat is at the edge of the arena or when you think he can't get out of range. Alex, who had expected this, gave a small smile. Crobat, use Fly. Crobat, who was still out of range, had no fear of being hit, immediately flew high in the sky. Alex, who chose this optimal moment, showed a smile. Fly is Crobat's strongest move, but also the move that cannot always be used. After a few seconds, Crobat flew with ridiculous speed towards Golduck from a high point in the sky. With this, he had no way of evading. Golduck, use Psychic. Golduck was hit in the head by the fallen Crobat and suffered severe damage. He only had around 30% HP excess after this critical hit. Although Golduck had taken critical damage, he used Psychic and also dealt severe damage to Crobat. Crobat hit by Psychic lost more than 60% HP from just one hit. Alex saw this exchange and was happy. He knew that Golduck would have actually won this fight if Crobat hadn't hit him in the head. Crobat, use Cross Poison. Golduck, use Psychic. At almost the same time, both trainers gave their commands for the next and probably the last moves. Both Pokemon started preparing for their next move as quickly as possible. Crobat and Golduck suffered critical damage. Crobat fell unconscious on the floor. But to Alex's surprise, Golduck, covered in blood, was still standing upright. He looked as bad as Crobat last time. Alex looked at the unconscious Crobat and thought, okay, that's harder than I thought. Chapter 144. Even though Alex lost the fight, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Golduck won but took so much damage that it will be defeated in just one hit. Alex gave a small smile as he called out Cizor onto the battlefield. 3, 2, 1, go! Professor Waldert gave the signal to start. Cizor, quick attack. Golduck, use Iron Tail. Unfortunately, quick attack is a move that requires very little preparation time, so Cizor can use it almost immediately. Golduck, who was hit by Cizor, was immediately thrown to the ground and passed out. Misty, who saw that Golduck wasn't even able to hit one attack to Cizor, wasn't really pleased. It was a shame that Cizor can use quick attack. Misty called out Starmie. Starmie, let's win this one. Pokemon, Starmie. LV, 44. Type, Water/Psychic. Abilities, Natural Cure. Gender, genderless. Potential, Deep Gold. Moves: Harden, Tackle, Psywave, Water Gun, Swift, Minimize, Confuse Ray, Bubble Beam, Light Screen, Psychic, Recover. Innate Talent, Hyper Beam, E, Innate Talent, Blizzard, E, Innate Talent, Psyshock, E. TM, Toxic, TM, Surf, E, TM, Thunder, TM, Thunder Wave, TM, Substitute, TM, Protect, TM, Facade. Alex, who saw how Starmie has now Surf on the expert rank, showed a serious expression. In the last fight, Starmie did not have an expert rank move which can get it a great advantage against Cizor. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case. Fortunately, Cizor is now also an elite Pokemon, so the power difference is no longer great. Although there is a 4-level difference, Cizor has the type advantage, so that it is relatively balanced. Maybe a bit more in the direction of Starmie. Professor Walter, who saw that they were both ready, immediately gave the start signal. 3, 2, 1, fight! Cizor, use focus energy. Starmie, get hardened. Although Alex had considered using Toxic, he decided against it because Cizor's Toxic is many times weaker than the Toxic from a Poison-type Pokemon like Crobat. Together with the level difference between Cizor and Starmie, the move wasn't a good option in this fight. Both Pokemon started to reinforce themselves. Starmie went on Def and Cizor on crit hit rate. Alex smiled when he saw Misty doing nothing. For its strategy, it was critical that Cizor does not take too much damage at the beginning. Cizor finished first and successfully used Focus Energy once. In comparison, Starmie took a little longer. Cizor trains this move much more often than Starmie. That's why. Alex saw that Cizor was almost done and said, Cizor, again. Starmie, use Thunder Wave. Starmie started preparing Thunder Wave a little later than Cizor. Alex, who saw this, waited a bit when he said, Cizor, use Protect after you've successfully used Focus Energy. Cizor successfully used Focus Energy twice and then immediately Protect to block Misty's move. Alex, who saw that his plan worked optimally, said with a smile, Cizor, use Fury Cutter until Starmie is defeated. Now that Cizor is on the elite rank, it deals a lot more than the last time when he could only get a draw. Misty wasn't scared of Alex's plan. She does not believe that her Starmie, who is 4 levels higher than Cizor, would lose in such a fight. Starmie, use Surf. Surf, who is on the expert rank, finished first and hit Cizor, who took a good amount of damage from it. But compared to the last fight, the damage was lower. Cizor used Fury Cutter and hit Starmie with it. Although the first hit is not very strong, it still did good damage thanks to Technician. Misty, who saw that Starmie wasn't faring well in this close combat, showed a surprised expression. She didn't expect her Starmie to suffer so much damage. Starmie, use Minimize. Both Pokemon are preparing their move. Cizor finished first and added a second Fury Cutter to Starmie. Even though Starmie was hit, she still managed to use Minimize. Starmie, who was hit by the second Fury Cutter, had visible injuries and only had around 60% HP left. Misty saw that Starmie was really twice as small as before, and it was now harder to hit. She hoped that she is a little lucky and can interrupt Cizor's combo with it. Starmie, use Surf. The time pressure did not allow her to come up with a better plan. When both Pokemon prepared their moves again, Starmie was faster this time and met Cizor with Surf. Cizor, who was hit by this attack, had only around 45% HP left and had a few injuries on his body. Cizor, who prepared his next Fury Cutter after this hit, didn't waste time and hit Starmie in a sensitive area while Starmie was trying to evade. A critical hit. Starmie only has around 5% HP left after this hit and had injuries all over her body. Starmie, use Surf and then Protect. Alex had a faint smile on his face when he spoke. Cizor used Metal Claw 2.0. Misty's new plan was to use Starmie's Surf and then block Cizor's move. After that, Cizor should have suffered enough damage for Starmie's Hyper Beam to defeat him. Alex knew that he had won and was quite happy. Starmie finished first and used Surf. Cizor was hit and took a good amount of damage. Starmie didn't start preparing a new move and started waiting for Cizor's Metal Claw to use against Protect. Cizor, who had finished preparing his move, ran towards Starmie and used his move. Misty saw how Cizor claws are white and not silver. She knew that something was wrong. She could feel it. Starmie, use Protect, and a visible shield appears. Cizor then used the move Feint and broke through Starmie's shield and hit Starmie, who had barely any HP left. Starmie fell to the ground unconscious, and Cizor showed a proud expression. Alex, who saw that his tick worked, showed a small smile as he thought, I had to work really hard for these 2 million. Chapter 145. Professor Walder went to Misty and praised her for the tactics she showed during the fight. He thought that her improvement was fabulous, and this defeat couldn't change that fact. If she had fought like this in the last fight, she would have unquestionably won the tournament. Misty talked to Professor Walder a bit before saying goodbye only to him and walking away. She totally ignored Alex and didn't say anything to him. Alex showed no reaction to Misty's behavior. He knew that this relationship could not be mended instantly. This takes time. And although it is beneficial to have a gym leader as a friend, it is not a must. Misty gave him the 2 million before the fight started. Professor Walder went over to Alex with a smile and said, "Alex, that was a great fight. Although you had told me beforehand, I'm really impressed with how speedily your Pokemon leveled up." Alex, who was starting to like Professor Walder more, said with an appreciative smile, "Thank you, Professor. Me being able to successfully increase the potential of my Pokemon is one of the key factors for that. But I know that this fight was closer than it looked. I'm still way too weak. Even in my age group." Professor Walder said with a pressing tone, "Alex, I see that you bought a lot of items to increase your Pokemon's potential. And I have to tell you one important related to that. The base talent of a Pokemon is very important, more than you may think. And it's very challenging to raise Pokemon with poor talent too high. For example, if your A-rank Pokemon was initially born with B rank, then you will have it much more difficult to increase its talent to the S rank. Although it is possible to make even a B rank Pokemon an SS rank, journey to the SS rank from S rank will be much harder compared to the Pokemon born with S rank." Alex, who heard this for the first time, had a surprised expression when he said, "Why haven't I heard of this before? That should be important basic information for trainers." Professor Walder said with a smile, "Not many people know about it, and it is forbidden to talk about it to someone who does not have a high rank in the Alliance. The Alliance does a basic check of the top 3 rookies every year. When they pass this test, they get this information along with the invitation to this auction. You can see it as a small bonus. Although you will be severely punished if they find out that you are giving this information without authorization. Honestly, the Alliance only allows it because they are afraid that you not knowing this may harm your potential as a trainer." But why is it forbidden to share this information?" Alex pondered for a second, and suddenly a thought came to his mind. "Wait! Is it because if it became common knowledge, then the regular trainers will treat their Pokemon with poor potential even worse?" Professor Walder nodded and showed a sad expression when he said, "Sadly, you are right. Many trainers treat their Pokemon poorly, even if they know that the potential can be improved infinitely with expensive items. What do you think trainers will do with their Pokemon if they know this info?" Alex, who heard this, showed an understandable expression. In this world, there are just as many good trainers as there are bad ones. But even with this knowledge, he will not change his attitude towards his Pokemon. As long as it is not impossible to get his Pokemon stronger, he will do better even if it is a difficult path. Professor Walder and Alex went out to eat together and talked about different Pokemon knowledge. For example, Alex got to know that the death rate of rookie trainers is too high. To be precise, it is 95%. That means that only 5% survives every year, though it drops sharply after a trainer becomes an elite trainer. On average, only 4% of elite trainers die annually, which is really low when considering the dangers this job contains. Later at the hotel in Celadon City, Alex, who ended the conversation with Professor Walder, started thinking about a certain Pokemon and its evolution. The Pokemon, whose evolution demanded intense thinking from Alex, was none other than Eevee, who has many different evolution possibilities. After thinking about it for a long time, Alex went to Eevee and pulled out a picture book. In that, there were pictures of all possible Eevee evolution forms. It didn't feel right to determine which future form Eevee will get without even asking her. If Eevee hates the form it evolves into, it would become really problematic. It's better to ask Eevee about her preference. Eevee looked at the pictures for a few seconds and pointed her paw at the image of Umbreon. Alex, who saw this, showed a smile. For him, this choice was the best. And that is not because Umbreon is stronger or is of dark type, but because Alex has the optimal items to improve Eevee's potential in this evolution. Eevee evolves to Umbreon under the moonlight when the friendship between its trainer and Eevee reaches a certain level. And he can train Eevee for Umbreon optimally with the help of Moonstone. The Moonstone is a stone that has absorbed a lot of energy from the moon and is the ideal item in this situation. And Alex, who has 2 top Moonstones, had already come up with a training plan for Eevee. He will give Eevee 1 top Moonstone and tell her to slowly absorb the energy from this stone when she is training. If this training is done at night, then it will be even more effective. With this expensive training, Eevee should be on the gold potential long before the evolution. And when Eevee is too close to evolving, Alex will give her the other top Moonstone to hopefully bring her potential to the deep gold rank. Although this plan costs 10 million, it's worth it if Eevee gets a lot stronger. Alex took a small collar where held items can be put in and put the top Moonstone there. This small collar costs more than 100 Poke Dollars, which is nothing for Alex. Then Alex took the collar and carefully put it on Eevee's neck. After wearing the collar, Eevee gave Alex a big bright smile. Alex explained the plan to Eevee in detail, and the other Pokémon looked curiously at Alex and Eevee. Chapter 146. Alex, who saw the curious glances from his Pokémon, smiled and said, "Haha, are you guys also interested in the evolution of Eevee? Though that's understandable." Celadon and Combusken began to speak almost simultaneously. "Did you buy an item for me too?" Celadon. "What kind of item did you buy for me?" Combusken. Alex replied calmly, "Wait patiently, and you will see what I have got for you." Without waiting for an answer, Alex pulled out the 8 vitamins he had bought. There were 8 different small glass bottles with a pill in each one. HP up, carbos, protein, calcium, iron, zinc, PP up, and PP max. Almost all of these pills work similarly to the games. The PP up and PP max works a bit differently. PP up can improve the move that a Pokemon has the highest move mastery so that the Pokemon can use that move more times. For example, a Pokemon can use Hyper Beam a maximum of 5 times. Then after taking this pill, it can use it 6 times. PP Max works similarly but is a better version of it. It doesn't improve 1, not 2, but 3 moves with the highest move mastery. Alex had already thought about which pill to give which of his 7 Pokemon. HP up that increases the HP of a Pokemon is the perfect item for Celadon. Shieldon's ridiculously good defense and SP def go very well with this pill. Carbos that increase the speed of a Pokemon is an item where Alex had thought a bit. There are a couple of good options, but Alex ended up choosing Combusken. Combusken's speed boost plus improved base speed sounded just too good for Alex to choose anyone else. Protein that increases the attack of a Pokemon is an item where Alex didn't think twice. Cizor, who will soon be able to use Sword Dance, will pack an extra punch with this. Calcium, which increases the SP ATK of a Pokemon, was also an easy choice for Alex. Gardevoir with Calm Mind on the expert rank synergizes very well with this pill. Choosing the best suited Pokemon for Iron that boosts the defense of a Pokemon was very difficult for Alex. In the end, he decided on Eevee, who will later become Umbreon. Umbreon probably will have a good defense and SP def base value. But her defense may be a bit worse than her SP def base value, so Alex decided to compensate for it with Iron. Zinc raises the SP def of a Pokemon, and it was the simultaneously toughest and easiest for Alex to choose Pokemon for it. At first, he thought that he didn't have a Pokemon that synergized with this pill. But after reflecting a little bit, he concluded that Crobat was a good choice. Alex noticed that mid or high range move is very troublesome for Crobat. And because most mid or high range moves deal special damage, the SP def is much more important to Crobat than the pure defense value. Deciding Pokemon for PP up was the easiest. Which of Alex's Pokemon is using his mastered move the most? The answer is none other than Ditto. Ditto can use only one move and thus would get the maximum benefits out of this pill. Alex gave each of his Pokemon their pill and put the PP Max pill back in his TRH device for future usage. He had not yet decided who should take the PP Max pill. Combusken, who looked suspiciously at the pill, asked, "Why did you get me something like this? It's very tiny for a present. Is it at least tasty?" Alex said to me, a fatherly smile, "I have no idea, but this pill will bring you close to becoming a cool, pretty, and strong Blaziken." Combusken, who heard this, showed an elated expression as she said out loud, "Really? That's great!" She immediately put the pile in her mouth and swallowed it. Alex, who saw this, thought, "I am such a good father." The other Pokemon also started swallowing their pills after receiving them from Alex. Alex, who saw that everyone had taken their pills, took out the next item. Everstone was the next item that Alex showed everyone. He also got a small collar where held items can be put in and put the Everstone there. He bought one for each of his Pokemon if he found a matching held item. Alex then gave a benevolent smile and said, "Combusken, come here. I have another present for you." Combusken, who heard this, started walking excitedly towards Alex. "Really, father? Wow, this is really a cool necklace. You are the best father in the world. /0/ Alex felt a bit like a father spoiling his naughty daughter. Although Combusken loves him as her father, she had never been that straightforward. This was the first time that Combusken gave such a big compliment to him. That reminds me of the time when I was a child. My father probably felt the same way when I said similar words when he bought something for me," thought Alex as he reminisced his childhood memories. Although he no longer can see his parents, he would like to tell them that he is fine and is leading a good life now. Gardevoir, who felt the emotion of Alex, went to her father and put a hand on his shoulder. Alex just gave a small smile in reply and began to pull out the next item. Heart of a high elite Ursaring on the A rank was the item that Alex got out of it. "Ditto, come. I have something for you that may improve your potential." When Ditto heard these words, they quickly began to crawl in the direction of Alex. Ditto also noticed that Ditto's leveling up speed was slower than before because of Ditto's potential, so Ditto knew how important such an item is to it. Ditto was also internally very happy that its trainer didn't give up on it, even if it had poor potential. Alex not only gave Ditto a family but gave his best to make Ditto stronger. Ditto has decided to give their best for Alex and his family and help as much as possible. Alex watched as Ditto emotionlessly absorbed the heart. After Ditto had absorbed the heart, Alex looked at Ditto's info to see if Ditto's potential had increased. Unfortunately, this item was not enough to improve the potential. Alex saw the slightly usually emotionless eyes of Ditto being sad and said with a gentle tone, "Ditto, don't worry. Even if this item had not improved your potential, it has brought you one step closer to it. It will just take time, but your potential will definitely improve. The effort we put in is bound to get us to result, either now or in the future. None of it is pointless. So let's do our best, okay?" Chapter 147. Alex pulled out the next item. This item consisted of 10 large pieces of steel. It was the whole steel from a dead high elite fortress on the S rank. "Cizor, this one is for you. I'll give you a piece of steel every day so that you can absorb the energy properly." Cizor, who is of the steel and bug type Pokemon, is the optimal Pokemon for this item. Although Alex doesn't think this item is enough to get Cizor potential on the deep gold rank, it can bring him closer to that. Alex, who saw the slightly disappointed expression on Celadon, said, "Celadon, don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. This item is just perfect for Cizor, and that's why I gave it to him. But I'll find something for you soon." Celadon nodded with an understanding expression when he heard Alex's words. He knew that this item was really perfect for Cizor. After Alex gave Cizor a steel piece, he took out the last item for his Pokemon. 5 Staraptor feathers of a champion-level Staraptor on the S rank, each reinforced with flying-type energy for a week. It was the most expensive and also the best item he could buy in the auction. Although it may not seem like it, this item is very difficult to make. First, a trainer must have a champion-level Pokemon on the S rank and be ready to weaken it for 5 weeks. The reinforcement with Flying-type energy for a week is a very exhausting process for a Pokemon. So the Pokemon is generally very weak and can hardly use the type of energy after this process. Another disadvantage is that the trainer is exposed to dangers if he doesn't have other powerful Pokemon. If you have only one champion Pokemon and it is weakened, your team becomes many times weaker and quite vulnerable. Enemies may take this chance to attack you. While there are drawbacks, there are always 1 or 2 trainers out there who do it for the big profit. Several million Pokedollars is not a small amount. Crobat, I found a really good item for you. In these 5 Staraptor feathers, there is Flying-type energy that you can absorb for 5 days. I will give you 1 feather every day. Alex, who saw Crobat took this feather without saying anything, gave a small smile as he thought, too proud to say thank you. Good old Crobat. He's lucky that I know he's deeply thankful. Crobat, who felt the rich Flying-type energy from this feather, immediately knew Alex had bought a very precious item for him. Even though he had these appreciative feelings for Alex, he didn't show it on his face when he picked up the feather. Alex looked at the other Pokemon and said with a sincere tone, Gardevoir, Celadon, Eevee, and Combusken, I will definitely find good items for you next time. So don't worry. Gardevoir gave a slight smile when she heard the words of her father. Father, you don't have to tell us. We know. Eevee chimed in. Yes, Sister Gardevoir is right. We know that you are doing your best to make us all stronger. Combusken showed an excited expression when she said, Daddy, you're repeating those boring words again. But while we're on that subject, I want something that makes my beauty and strength shine. Celadon, who heard Combusken's words, said with an innocent expression, I want something cool. Alex, who heard the words of Combusken and Celadon, suppressed the feeling of laughing. This innocence of not asking about the quality of an item but one which looks good is actually what only young Pokemon would say. He also had the feeling that these two are confusing these items with toys. After Alex distributed the items, his Pokemon started to pursue their hobbies. Alex noticed that it would soon be sleeping time and took out his TRH device to call Maria. Alex? Yes, it's me. I found a good item for you. It's the poison gland and the heart of a mid-elite Arbok of A rank which cost me only 500,000 Pokedollars. Really? Such a good item? Thank you, Alex. I can't thank you enough for your help. No problem. Has Lisa already unlocked your transmission functions for your TRH device? Ah, yes. Sister Lisa has already done that. You can send it to me after the call. All right. I'll send you back the rest of the money too. No. You can keep it for your help. Alex, who heard this, knew that Maria needed this money more than she was letting it out. I didn't help you with the money so that you can give it to me. No, Alex. Keep it. Maria, take the money that is yours. Maria and Alex discussed a bit about the money before Maria spoke these words. I'm gonna hang up, so you will have no choice but to accept the money. End the conversation. Alex, hearing the pride of Maria's words, smiled wryly. He could hear how she wanted to tell him that she could become strong on her own even without his help. This self-confidence and self-reliance character is really impressive. That kind of character is somehow attractive to Alex. Even though Alex is calculative and manipulative, he is also a very proud person. Because of these traits, Alex only takes advantage of other people. When Alex sees a new person, the first thing he thinks is, what benefits will this person bring me? Only when he starts to like a person personally does he stop having thoughts like that. Along with his distrust of almost everyone except his Pokemon, it's not surprising that Alex doesn't have any real friends or a person to trust. It is also because of this trait that he sees Maria's independence as a big plus. Although Maria is cold, proud, and independent, Alex sees these three traits as advantages. If Maria chooses him, it shows him that Maria really has feelings for him. Since she can be successful even without being in a relationship with him, it would mean that her feelings are real. Alex started to think with a smile, haha, two half-broken people could possibly make a whole person together. Maybe Maria is a normal person, and only I am half-broken. But I don't think a normal person would join Team Rocket. Although he says it with a smile, Alex really thinks that. He knows he's not a good person and has some problems on his mind. Chapter 148. Alex, who was enjoying his quiet evening with his Pokémon, suddenly heard a sound. It was the message notification sound from his TRH device. After he picked up his TRH device, he saw that the message was from Steven. Steven, Alex, call me if you have time. I have something important to discuss with you. Alex started typing Steven's number into his TRH device in the next moment. After talking and chatting with Steven for several months, Alex knew how to improve Steven's character a bit. He knows that Steven writes a message like this only when he really wants to discuss something important. Especially since it has been a long time since Alex received such a message from Steven. Alex? It's good that you called back so quickly. I have something important to talk about. Do you have time right now? No problem, Steven. What's the matter? Why are you so excited? Alex, I finally convinced my father to let me become a trainer. Although there is one condition, I am finally allowed to pursue my dream. Stephen Stones is the son of the president of the Devon Corporation, Joseph Stone. Thus he is the successor of one of the largest industrial chains. Devon Corporation is the largest industrial chain in all of Hoenn. So the president of Devon Corporation obviously has similar powers to an Elite Four member. This makes the chairman one of the highest ranked persons in the Alliance, Hoenn Alliance. Although this position is long by many, it is different for Steven. Steven has always liked Pokemon, so he wanted to be a trainer while he still has a chance. If he takes over the position now, he will not have enough time to train his Pokemon to become strong. So Steven refuses to take this position. Although he is not opposed to taking over the Devon Corporation several years later, he first wants to become a strong trainer. Unfortunately, Joseph Stone refuses to acknowledge the dream of his son. He continues to raise Steven as his successor and teach him how to run a company. Although he allowed Steven to have Pokemon as a hobby, he doesn't want Steven to be a trainer. Alex wasn't really surprised that Steven was allowed to become a trainer because he knows that Steven will become the future Hoenn champion. Of course, he could not show that he was not surprised. Ah! Really? That is great news, Steven. But what made your father change his mind? He hasn't really changed his mind. He still thinks that it would be better for me to take over the company. But he admits that having certain position is not bad, champions' positions. Steven went on to say in a very excited voice, I suggested a bet that would be a win-win for both parties. If I don't become Hoenn champion within 10 years, I will give up becoming a trainer and take over the company. Of course, there are still small goals that I will have to meet. So when I suggested a bet to him, he accepted it almost immediately. Alex could now understand why Steven's father accepted this bet. No matter what happens, he profits nonetheless. That's really great, Steven. I'm glad for you that you can follow your dream. Thanks, Alex. Haha, I thought you would laugh at me since I made such a ridiculous bet. You know that there are not many champions who have made it under the age of 30. No, Steven, I've seen your strength. If you spend all of your time in training, I believe you have the chance to achieve this goal. Thanks, Alex. It's good to have a friend like you. Haha. Don't say things like that. By the way, what are these little goals that you talked about? Oh! There are lots of small goals that I have to achieve. Otherwise, I will lose the bet too. The first small goal is to win the Hoenn Rookie Tournament that will be starting in 2 months. Alex, who heard how this was a small goal, suddenly felt that Steven really played in another league. Though he had felt that Steven was overestimating himself a bit. Steven, this may sound arrogant, but I still want to warn you. Although your strength is very good for your age, you are not invincible. Even I can defeat you with a good strategy if you are not careful, so you should take this competition seriously. Haha. Thanks, Alex, for warning me. You are really a good friend. Don't worry, I know that there are many strong trainers who can defeat me. The reason why I called it a small goal is that it is nothing compared to my main goal of becoming the champion. If I have the potential to become a champion, I shouldn't fail in this tournament. Alex understood that Steven was confident but not arrogant. He could see the characteristics of a future champion. I seem to worry unnecessarily. You already have the right attitude for this. Alex, I haven't yet said why I wanted to speak to you. The one reason was to tell you the good news directly. I want to ask for your help. Oh! And what is it? I need a good practice partner for the tournament, so I immediately thought of you. I know it is very sudden, but can you help me? Haha. No problem, my friend. I won't lose the chance to help the future champion. I'll be arriving in Rustboro City in the next few days. We'll meet there. Steven thought that Alex was trying to encourage him further. Even though Steven had lots of friends, he felt any real kind of friendship only from Alex. Alex is not afraid to tell him what he thinks. Together with that, Alex is a direct person that makes it very pleasant for Steven to talk with Alex. Thank you, Alex. I owe you a favor. Alex would coldly try to squeeze out most of this situation a few months ago. But after talking and chatting with Steven for several months, he couldn't help but admit that he really likes Steven's personality. Alex has the feeling that he can build a genuine friendship with Steven. So he stopped seeing Steven as a business friend and started seeing Steven as a real friend with whom he can slowly build trust. He's not sure if he'll regret this decision but has decided to stick with it. Steven and Alex talked a bit before ending the call. Chapter 149. Alex woke up and opened his eyes due to the rays of shining sun falling on his face coming into the room through the open window. He got out of bed and went to make breakfast for himself and his Pokémon. Cizor appeared to have woken up before Alex and was doing basic training when Alex came into the room. Alex greeted Cizor and started walking into the open kitchen. As he was making breakfast, he saw Crobat come into the room from the open window. Crobat, who likes to sleep outside, mostly sleeps in front of the window where he can protect Alex and the other Pokémon at the same time. Though Crobat would never admit that. When he saw that Cizor had already woken up and was training, he said with an arrogant expression, "Oh, weakling. How are you today?" Cizor looked angry when he said, "What did you call me, you bloodsucker?" Crobat gave a slight smirk when he said, "Ah, can't handle the truth? I thought after I put your face on the floor that you would acknowledge the truth." "What kind of truth are you talking about? You won one time, and now you think that you are much stronger than me. The only thing you are better at than me is sucking blood." "Ha! Very funny, you grill tongs. If you think that my victory was a coincidence, let's see who is really the strongest Pokémon at the next tournament. It's just 1-to-1. Get ready to cry tears of blood. I hope you are ready to lose your arrogance at the next tournament. If it's even possible for you to never be arrogant, that is." Cizor and Crobat looked at each other, and it seemed sparks were going on between them. But the next moment, they started ignoring each other at the same time. Alex smiled when he saw this exchange. He felt that these two started getting along better, even if it was just a little bit better. As Alex was making breakfast, Pokémon began to come out of their Pokeballs one by one. They said good morning to Alex and the other Pokémon and started their morning training session. Alex's Pokémon trains in the morning, at noon, and in the evening every day for several hours. That's why they usually start training immediately when they wake up. While preparing breakfast, Alex started thinking about which TMs to buy for his Pokémon with the rest of his money. He still had a little over 1 million Pokédollars left and could buy some good TMs for his Pokémon. The first TM he bought was Roost for 125,000 Pokédollars. Although it was expensive, it was a TM that Alex wanted unconditionally for Crobat. he also bought TM Substitute for Crobat. Cizor showed no signs of learning the Swords Dance yet, and it was very annoying for Alex. So he just spent 250,000 Poke Dollars and bought this move for Cizor. For Alex, it was worth it if Cizor could start training this move as early as possible. Alex also bought a very expensive move for Gardevoir for 150,000 Poke Dollars, Focus Blast, since it can be a very useful move for Gardevoir. This move demands high mental focus, and it also lowers the target's SP defense. And since it is a fighting type, it can be helpful against Dark-type Pokemon. Celadon, for whom Alex had still not bought a TM, immediately got 5 TMs from Alex. Taunt for 5,000, Rock Slide for 55,000, Rest for 30,000, Earthquake for 100,000, Flash Cannon for 25,000. Combusken, who had also not received a TM from Alex till today, received 5 TMs from Alex. Protect for 1,000, Flamethrower for 50,000, Rock Slide 55,000, Will-O-Wisp for 15,000, Poison Jab for 15,000. Eevee, who comes from the wilderness, had no TM moves yet. So Alex bought 5 pieces directly. Toxic 5,000, Shadow Ball 65,000, Facade 7,500, Protect 1,000, Attract 5,000. Alex also ordered Pokemon food for 1 month for his Pokemon. Together with that, he spent more than 1,100,000 Poke Dollars in this shopping spree. Alex looked sadly at his left money as he thought about how he spent most of them. Only 158,000 TR points and 40,010 Poke Dollars were left with him. After half an hour, he received a transfer request from the TRH device, which he quickly accepted. After all the items were transferred, Alex immediately started storing the Pokemon food in his TRH device and giving the TMs to his Pokemon. After distributing the TMs, he looked again at the information of each of his Pokemon. Pokemon, Crobat. LV, 40. Type, Poison/Flying. Abilities, Inner Focus. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Absorb, Supersonic, Astonish, Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Swift, Haze, Leech Life, Mean Look. Innate Talent, Shadow Ball, E. Innate Talent, Fly, E. Innate Talent, Cross Poison, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Sludge Bomb, TM, Facade, TM, Taunt, TM, Roost, TM, Substitute. Pokemon, Cizor. LV, 40. Type, Bug/Steel. Abilities, Technician. Gender, Male. Potential, Gold. Moves: Leer, Quick Attack, Focus Energy, Double Team, Feint, Fury Cutter, Wing Attack, Agility, Slash, Razor Wind, Iron Defense. Innate Talent, Roost, E. Innate Talent, Metal Claw, E. Innate Talent, Brick Break, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Thief, TM, Facade, TM, Giga Impact, TM, U-Turn, TM, Sandstorm, TM, Substitute, TM, Swords Dance. Pokemon, Gardevoir. LV, 39. Type, Psychic/Fairy. Abilities, Telepathy. Gender, Female. Potential, Deep Gold. Moves: Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic, Imprison. Innate Talent, Disable, E. Innate Talent, Calm Mind, E. Innate Talent, Dazzling Gleam, E. TM, Protect, TM, Shadow Ball, TM, Will-O-Wisp, TM, Thunderbolt, TM, Thunder Wave, TM, Helping Hand, TM, Focus Blast. Pokemon, Ditto. LV, 37. Type, Normal. Abilities, Imposter, Hidden Ability. Gender, Genderless. Potential, Silver. Move, Innate Talent, Transform, E. Pokemon, Celadon. LV, 34. Type, rock/steel. Abilities, sturdy. Gender, male. Potential, gold. Moves: protect, tackle, taunt, metal sound, takedown, iron defense, swagger, ancient power. Innate talent, rock polish, E. Innate talent, sleep talk, E. Innate talent, flamethrower, E. TM, taunt, TM, rock slide, TM, rest, TM, earthquake, TM, flash cannon. Pokemon, Combusken. LV, 25. Type, fire/fighting. Abilities, speed boost, hidden ability. Gender, female. Potential, gold. Moves: growl, scratch, ember, sand attack, peck, double kick, flame charge, quick attack. Innate talent, attract, innate talent, sunny day, E. Innate talent, overheat, E. TM, protect, TM, flamethrower, TM, rock slide, TM, will-o-wisp, TM, poison jab. Pokemon, Eevee. LV, 31. Type, normal. Ability, adaptability. Gender, female. Potential, shallow gold. Moves: growl, tackle, tail whip, quick attack, double kick, sand attack, bite, swift, takedown, double edge, helping hand. Innate talent, rest, innate talent, sleep talk, innate talent, work up, E. TM, toxic, TM, shadow ball, TM, facade, TM, protect, TM, attract. After half an hour, Alex and his Pokemon were sitting at a large table eating their breakfast. While eating, Alex thought about training his Pokemon. He noticed that it is more effective to train one move all the time than train in several moves at the same time. That's why he has to make some changes in the move mastery training. He started to think about which move his Pokemon should train on the expert rank first. After half an hour of intensive thought, he decided on a move per Pokemon. Crobat, who has already brought all of his innate talent moves to the expert rank, will train the next in Toxic to reach the expert rank. Although it will take longer, Alex thinks it will be more effective to practice Crobat's good moves on the expert rank before mastering his innate talent moves on the master rank. The time to make a move on the master rank is really not short. It makes more sense to train all good moves first. Cizor's 3 buff moves, agility and focus energy and swords dance, that Alex wants to train were a bit difficult to decide. These 3 moves should be trained on the expert rank as quickly as possible. In the end, Alex decided to train Cizor and swords dance first. Although the other moves have the advantage of learning relatively faster, Alex thinks it will be more helpful. After all, Cizor can do more and more damage with a higher attack stat instead of an increased critically hit ratio or speed. Gardevoir has lots of good moves, but one move, in particular, is very critical. Of course, it's none other than Teleport. It is a move that cannot be overlooked by Alex. The advantages of teleporting in combat and out of combat are so great that Alex hardly had to think twice to make this decision. Celadon has lots of good moves where Alex had to think a little to make a decision. In the end, Alex decided upon Taunt because it better hides Shieldon's weakness first. Although Iron Defense or Rock Slide is also quite helpful, Alex first wants to counter Shieldon's weaknesses before improving his strong points. Combusken, who does not have all innate talent moves on the expert rank yet, would start training her last innate talent move Attract on the expert rank. And Eevee, who only has one innate talent move on the expert rank, will naturally start training her 2 other moves on the expert rank. Eevee will first train Rest on the expert rank and then start training Sleep Talk on the expert rank. Chapter 150. Early in the morning, Alex started to book out of the hotel where he had stayed for the last few days. After promising Steven that he would be there in a few days, he couldn't stay in town for much longer. After checking out of the hotel, he looked at the map on the TRH device. It's a very rough map, but for Alex, who wants to think about which route to take, it was enough. After a few moments, Alex decided to take the safest way, where he will first go to Vermilion City to take a ship to Hoenn. Although Crobat can fly him there, Alex doesn't think it's safe. As far as he goes away from the mainland of the so powerful Pokemon he can hit in the unfamiliar area high in the air. In the great ocean of the Pokemon world, there are lots of unexplored islands. So while flying near an island, he may meet a flying-type Pokemon living on that island. And if the Pokemon who attacked is too strong, he and his Pokemon will be buried under the deep ocean. Although Gardevoir can teleport, it cannot teleport in infinite range. The range often has to do with the level of the Psychic-type Pokemon. And Gardevoir, who is not yet an elite Pokemon, cannot teleport a very long distance. Maybe only champion-level Pokemon can teleport across continents. With this knowledge, Alex has decided on this very safe path. As a rule, most Pokemon don't attack large ships, and only aggressive Pokemon like Gyarados would do that. But even if such a Pokemon attacks, there are many elite trainers on the ship. Only in luxurious ships there is more than one elite trainer, who can easily fight off them. While it is not impossible to meet a champion-level Pokemon, it is very, very rare. Alex read that something like this happens no more than once a year, which is surprisingly less considering that so many ships are dispatched every day. Between Vermilion City and Celadon City is a forest that is not in the game. Thus Alex didn't know much about this forest. This forest is called Firewood Forest and is a relatively dangerous area of Kanto. The Alliance does not recommend that trainers below the elite rank enter this forest, indicating that this forest should only be entered by experienced trainers. The Firewood Forest is, like the name tells, a forest area where you can find many fire-type Pokemon along with many grass and bug-type Pokemon. Alex left the hotel and started to make his way to the Firewood Forest. On the way, he was stopped a couple of times and asked for an autograph, which he naturally gave with a fake smile. Alex, who was standing in front of the entrance of the Firewood Forest, looked at a warning sign indicating the start of the forest. He released all of his Pokemon and started walking into the forest with them. At the beginning of the forest, there were hardly any strong Pokemon. But as Alex went deeper and deeper, he noticed that the attacking Pokemon were getting stronger. After half an hour, he saw a relatively strong Pokemon say what would make a good training partner for Celadon. Pokemon, Ponyta. LV, 36. Type, Fire. Abilities, Flash Fire. Gender, Female. Potential, Shallow Silver. Move: Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Ember, Flame Wheel, Stomp, Flame Charge, Fire Spin, Takedown, Inferno. Innate Talent, Swift, E. Celadon, you will do this fight. Start with Rock Polish. Ponyta, who didn't want to fight at first, showed signs of running away. But when she saw the cold expressions of Crobat and Cizor, she knew she had no choice but to become Celadon's fighting partner. Alex usually only attacks Pokemon that attacks him first. But in this case, he wanted to use Ponyta as a training partner. That's why he decided not to catch and even heal Ponyta after defeating her. He would be a bit guilty of attacking this innocent Pokemon just like that and selling it to a cruel trainer. That little bit of money is not worth it. He would have probably changed his decision if Ponyta was a gold Pokemon. Alex knows he's a hypocrite but doesn't really care. He loves freedom and doesn't want to take his right to make decisions just because he doesn't treat all Pokemon equally. Ponyta, who saw that Celadon is her opponent, had a slight change in her expression as she prepared her move. Although she was not sure that she could win against Celadon, it was better than fighting those two monsters. Celadon, who started earlier, used Rock Polish once and began to move quickly. Celadon used Rock Slide. Ponyta coped with her move Growl to lower Celadon's attack value. Then she immediately started to prepare for the next move. Celadon used Rock Slide and let several large stones rain over Ponyta, who was preparing a move and therefore could not move. Ponyta was hit and sustained severe damage. It looked like this attack caused her more than 35% HP damage. Even though it lowered Celadon's attack rating, Ponyta's base stats are too bad to be exploited. Again, Celadon. Alex wanted to see if Ponyta had a trick to defeat Celadon. Ponyta's next move's preparation was done, and she used Fire Spin. Alex, who saw this, quickly said, "Celadon, run out quick." Fire Spin, which puts a Pokemon in a fire ring, is a very straightforward move when a Pokemon is hit. Celadon tried to run out but failed and was hit by the Ponyta attack. He suffered only slight damage but was locked in a large ring of fire. In this world, a Pokemon can escape this attack, especially if it is not yet on the expert rank. But if a Pokemon wants to escape this move prematurely, it has to be ready to run through this fire. Flying-type Pokemon can escape differently without taking harm. Although this Celadon was hit by this attack, Alex showed no expression as he gave no further orders. Celadon finished preparing his move and used Rock Slide again. Ponyta did not try to prepare a move this time. But due to bad luck, she was hit on the head by a large rock while trying to avoid it. Alex, who saw the bad luck of Ponyta, couldn't help but feel a little pity. Ponyta screamed loudly and suffered severe damage. It looked like she couldn't take any further move. But despite being badly injured, she started to prepare for the next move. End it with Flash Cannon. Celadon took a little more damage from Fire Spin but started preparing for the next move. For the first time, Ponyta finished before Celadon and used Inferno. A large fireball was flying relatively slowly towards Celadon. Normally, Celadon would be able to avoid this move with improved agility. But because he was preparing a move that was not on the expert level, Celadon could not avoid it. Alex thought about whether Celadon should cancel his preparation and should use Protect, but it was decided. He wanted to see how well Celadon can take this attack. Celadon, unable to move, was hit completely by this attack. He was engulfed in the fire and suffered severe damage. In addition, part of his body started to burn. He only has around 40% of his HP left after those hard hits. Alex, seeing how much damage Celadon had taken, wasn't really surprised. Celadon hasn't evolved yet and therefore is not a very good tank. Celadon endured the damage and used Flash Cannon to end the fight. Ponyta was hit and fell unconscious to the ground. Alex, who was slowly making his way to heal Ponyta and Celadon, noticed that Celadon suddenly began to glow. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in part 6. Peace.